Yo, what's good?
How's it going, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, good. You got the flannel, I got the stringer, just like last time. I think this is what we always rock.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're SoCal. I'm New England, so
Yeah. Is it already cold as shit up there or what?
well, it's funny because the past couple days it's been 80, which is just totally random for this time of year, but most of September was like 50s, 60s, maybe low 70s. So I'm
Yeah.
like I'm ready for fall. So when that little like 3 day stretch of 80-degree weather came out of nowhere, I'm like, shit, I don't even know what to wear. Like there's just t-shirts are all gone, they're all dirty. I'm like, what shoes did I wear in the summer? I'm just like so confused. I already forgot all about it.
Dude, that's funny. We're like the exact opposite. We have like one attire all year round pretty much, but they're, they're the opposites.
Polar opposite.
How you been, man? Anything new going on?
Nothing crazy. Kind
Add
of
anything to
same
the
old with the
basement?
channel. Huh?
You add anything to the basement? Any new pieces?
Um, since the last time we talked, I'm not sure actually.
I saw
I
like a pretty unique looking row thing. What was that? Where like it's like yeah, what is that? Is that pretty slick? What's the
Yeah.
brand?
Well, it's actually so Maxicam, which I'm sure you remember them from like 20 or so years
What did
ago.
they have? What else was their other one? I'm thinking of something else that they had that was a good piece. I don't remember
Mm.
the row.
I I don't remember either. I don't know when they went out of business, but or were discontinued or whatever, but the row machine was just like a hidden gem on Facebook. So there's like obviously you know that T-bar row is like a good chest supported one, crazy overpriced. I know you
Yeah.
own them, right? So you get it. You're like,
Yeah.
all right, every other machine's kind of complex, like kind of justify the price. Then you look at a T-bar and you're like, hang on a second, it's a pad with a lever in one plate horn. And you're like, why is this 4 grand? So I kept looking for them used, and I'd see a few for 1,500 bucks, 1,000. I'm like, like I really can't find anything, like I'm down because it is like one of my favorite lifts, and I'd be able to keep it forever. And then I found some guy just selling his home gym for random prices. This one was 300 bucks, and I'm like,
Oh
yeah,
fuck yeah. That was on
come on.
Marketplace?
Yeah, it was like a 45-minute drive too, which is sweet. Um, Commercial grade. It's not even like a crappy little home gym one. It's a legit commercial grade, like heavy duty. I had to take it in like two different parts myself, and it's just a beauty of a machine. The resistance profile I actually prefer to most regular T-bars too, like a standard chest supported one.
What's the
It's a little
difference?
more extreme, so
Like tougher at the end or what?
easier at the contraction.
Easier
So
at the, yeah, so it matches the
yeah,
curve a little better.
it probably goes maybe up to like a 45-degree angle from where it hinges. So a little bit easier at the contraction. It matches the strength curve of
Yeah.
the traps perfectly, I find. So I dig that. The grip is just very ergonomic too. I'll show it again real quick, but you can
Okay.
kind of see like the slightly tilted in neutral and like the slightly tilted back pronated grip, and it feels nice. Like obviously it's not a full bar where you can choose where you want to be, but the grip options they do have, it's money.
Yeah, 300 bucks. That's awesome. I mean, that's the thing with the marketplace. Like you'll be seeing people asking ridiculous stuff like it's COVID right now or something. And then every now and then you'll find something crazy good. They're just like, I gotta snatch this before someone who knows what they've got sees it too.
I know. I'm the same way. I send so many messages, and I'm literally out of space. So I'm excited for whenever I get the next house. I'm gonna do like probably some type of like detached garage or barn where I can
Yeah,
just
exactly.
load it up on selectorized stuff. Like I have a selectorized Cybex overhead press just sitting behind my shed because it's welded so it wouldn't fit through my bulkhead. So it's just like this 300-pound machine that I have like 300 pounds of weights in my garage. It's
Do
like
you
the
use
whole
it out
concept.
there? You just go and do that one thing out there or what?
No, it's not even put together. I'm just like I don't want to sell it, but like I I'm like maybe if I get a new house in 2 years, I can kind of justify like letting it
Yeah,
sit
hang on
there
over
for
to you.
now.
Do you have space in your garage at all that you want to use a couple of quick pieces of equipment for? Or it's all
No,
taken up. Yeah.
I'll pick it up. Yeah, it's just this little, I don't know, maybe 250, maybe yeah, maybe more than that, maybe 300 or 400 square foot piece of basement chunk that I have, and that's all taken up. But I like my machine, so
Oh, so
and
yours is a little smaller than I thought it was. It looks so much bigger when you're doing all your stuff in there. You have space pretty well. I just started doing my garage, so it's sometimes just it's mainly for my girl because it's hard for her to get away with the baby and stuff. But also sometimes like you don't want to go to the gym, you work out all the time and shit either. So it's good to like be in your own zone. So yeah, it's interesting. Like I pieced together, I kind of did a lot of the Facebook Marketplace, and then a couple of there's a few of these like companies now, have you noticed, where they're kind of bringing back some of the older style stuff, a little bit more like bare bones. A lot of them like between commercial and like residential use. So what I was trying to get was the hack squat from Cybex. Do you use that one at all? You got a hack? What do you do for your main leg compound down there?
Dude,
I know you're not
I
huge on legs.
no, I wish I had that. That's one of my favorite machines. I have a leg sled from PowerTech. It's like it's home quality, but it's
Yeah, they're
probably
one of
one.
those in betweeners, right?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. It's technically not commercial quality, but it's like a high-end home piece. I got it for like $400 right when I got the gym years back. It's good enough but I have to like use wedges, add a band, load all the plates on, and go
Yeah.
super full stance, add a pause. So I'm like, if I want to like kind of maintain and do like a super quad focused crazy stretch squat pattern, it's fine. But other than that, I just use my Smith machine if I'm
Smith.
squatting down here. But
Yeah.
typically, I'd go to the commercial gym. So there is a Cybex hack, which is super cool because it's like a brand new gym opened back in it was uh, horrible timing when the guy opened it. It was he had been saving up to open this gym for his entire life. He's in his 50s, opens up this beautiful, like 27,000 square foot
Oh,
gym.
goodness.
Everybody's pumped. Opens December of 2019. So
Oh
like it
man.
immediately has to shut down a couple months later. But
He was
he
able to
got
pull through it though. That's awesome.
oh, it's yeah, crazy successful. Like it's the best gym in the state easily. All new equipment, one used piece is the Cybex hack.
Dude, it's like got so much lore to it. The problem is, like, I really like the 45-degree angle ones. They don't make a lot of 45-degree angle ones at all anymore. And dude, I was gonna
Mm.
buy that Cybex. I found it. I could not find it cheaper than 7 grand, and that's not even
Whoa.
with delivery. And I'm like, I just can't justify spending seven
Oh,
thousand dollars on this
oh,
piece that's 25. So what I did, I got like the Temple of Doom pendulum squat,
mm.
which is really, really high end, like home. I would say it's pretty much commercial. Have you ever seen their stuff? The Temple of Gains, is what they're
Temple
called.
of Gains. I actually haven't. So the couple like tweener brands that I've seen, French Fitness, Fettle Fitness,
Yeah,
and Titan, but for pendulums, they're hard to come by. And that's
yeah.
if I was to get a squat pattern machine, like a legit one for the home gym, it probably would be a pendulum rather than a hack. So it's funny you say that. So
Yeah, just takes
good
up some
quality,
space.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's built awesome. Like it's, I mean, like I said, I bought all Prime and Atlantis for my gym, and I would say it's right up there, and it's well designed. Like there are people that this is like the third version in like 2 or 3 years, so they're constantly listening to the feedback and changing it and improving it a lot. Like Prime just put out a pendulum as well, and I actually I like this one better, and Prime's
Hmm.
awesome.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you're one upping Prime, I mean that kind of says a lot, especially if it's like home gym, like
yeah. I mean,
budget,
I
a little
probably
smaller footprint and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see any reason why it couldn't take the wear and tear. There's little things about it that I don't like. Like on the Atlantis one, like they have like the little adjustable, it's like the furniture things on the bottom, so it kind of self levels it. You can kind of unscrew a little bit, you know what I'm talking about? So it's
Mm.
like
Yeah, yeah,
my
yeah, a little.
garage isn't perfectly level, so like I have a part of it like fucking floating that I had to put some part of the flooring under and shit. So I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes it not quite commercial, but the build of it is solid. So I got that, and I got the Cybex squat press. Um,
Oh, beauty of a machine.
yeah,
I
that
can't
one was
stick with
like
it because you have to load so much weight on, though. I
yeah,
just wish
it
there
takes
was a way to
all
make
the
it
weight in my
heavier.
gym. But the way I lift, I do like really pretty narrow, really concentrate on quads. So even then
Yep,
it's only like 5 or 6 plates. So that's pretty good. But yeah, so between instead of getting that, I got those two and I still had like 2 grand left over. I was like, I just can't.
that's awesome.
So is it pretty hard for you to get shit in your garage in your basement?
Well, it's tough for me to get welded pieces just because the bulkhead's kind of small. So it's a 7 foot ceiling rather than eight, since it's a it's not like a super old house, but built in the 70s. So it's a little dated, went with a 7 foot ceiling in the basement. And it's it's just hilarious because the welded Cybex OHP it was less than an inch too big to fit
Oh
down. Like
fuck.
me and my fiance's dad were just carrying that thing, total pain in the ass. It was just brutal to get down here. We tried every different angle. The thing's so heavy. We
That's
even after taking the selectorized stack off of it, trying to fit it down, it's literally half an inch. That
that's
just
so
I
frustrating.
know. I was like, whatever. Yeah, we'll just.
You didn't
I
measure it
love
first
spending
or
more
what?
money.
You just thought it would
Huh?
go or what? You didn't measure it
Well, I
first?
thought it would. I didn't even pay attention to if it was welded or not. Like that hadn't even crossed my mind because I have like I got this down here. It's a double lat pull down and
Yeah.
incline chest hammer strength machine. I'm like, all right, if I can fit that, like I can fit a little OHP that you sit on. But no, it's welded, so it doesn't work.
So it just couldn't get through the door. It could sit in there if you could get it in there.
It was sitting on the stairs, yeah, and it's literally just right at the end. When you try and get down there, like the little foot piece that that like kicks out that you can bolt things down with.
Yeah.
Like if I like wanted to cut it off, I could get it down here, but it's just too much of
Yeah,
a
that's
pain.
gonna be a
I'll
big
just
project.
it was $250 and not like I spent a grand on it. So I'm like, I don't know. Like if I have to resell it or whatever, like it is what it is.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of cool because I just started building this out in April when I moved to this apartment complex, and I got a two-car garage that I've just stacked up, and it's kind of cool meeting these people that like, this is what they do, right? Is that how it is up there? You got some like people that just kind of like fuck with equipment, like they have like a little network and they get all excited. They've got cool stuff. They get rid of stuff. It's kind of like their passionate hobby kind of thing. Is that like that around you or not so much up there?
Oh, like on Marketplace and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because I always just assumed that the people that live in the super rural areas just like didn't lift or maybe just did like some calisthenics or something because there's no gyms up there. Like every now and then in one of those small towns, you see like a little local mom and pop gym or something. But the best home gym I've ever seen was actually when I bought my first like actual machine. So this is back in 2021 when I started building the home gym. Uh, the first thing I got, actually, before I even got like a couch or any furniture, was a bench press. So I just got an Olympic flat bench. It was cool as an old collegiate one, so I thought it was sick. Got that thing down here. I still have a picture of that from way back in the day, which is funny. I saw it the other day. It popped up on my memories or something, and I got a kick out of it. I just got like a shitty squat rack after that, just to have some form of rack for squatting, pressing, that kind of stuff. I got a little lat pull down, and that thing's garbage, but the ceilings are low, so my options are limited. And then I got a Power Tech, just what I think it's called a multi press or like a lever press or something. It's just like a flat lying plate loaded chest press. It's fine.
is it
Um,
just flat or does it do different stuff?
well, it starts flat, and then you can make it incline. There's a bunch of different
Okay,
options,
yeah,
so it's cool. The line of press is a little awkward since it's just one pivot point for whatever
yeah.
variation you're doing. It starts at the bottom, which I always find a little bit awkward, but it is what it is. You have to kind of take your wins and losses with home gym stuff with variety. But the home gym that I went to was an hour and a half. It actually might have been 2 hours from where I live. And I was in the middle of nowhere. You just go down this little dirt road, and all of a sudden this guy has this pretty massive colonial house. And I was like, where is this thing gonna be? So I'm like, where am I getting this? Where does he keep his gym? And he's like, all right, and it's probably a foot of snow on the ground, like middle of December or something. We walk out back and it goes downhill. He has this massive walk-in basement. The entire thing was loaded with gym equipment. It was probably a 2,000 a square foot basement filled with gym equipment. He had like I think he had at least one Smith machine. Like he might have had a vertical and angled
Yeah.
Smith, power rack, hack, leg press, like selectorized stuff. I'm like, man, like I thought I had a cool gym, but
Dude,
that's like next level.
yeah, some people, it's pretty wild. I got a client, he's up on the East Coast, he's in Baltimore, and he's the same thing. He just moved because he had a really good sick basement setup we just do online, and he moved, and I was like, "Oh, you're at the gym?" He goes, "No, I'm in my new place. This is the basement." I'm like, "There's a full-size basketball court in there. There's a Pilates room for your wife, and then you have
Wild.
2,000 square foot of fucking prime in Atlantis." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Bro," and he'll still go to the gym too. But yeah, I kind of like I think that like having a home gym is a really cool option, especially when you're like not feeling motivated. But I definitely like to go to the gym every now and then. I feel like if I only had my home gym, I feel like I probably wouldn't. I don't know. I feel like maybe I've been missing out a little bit. You said you still go to the normal gym sometimes too?
Yeah, sometimes I actually haven't been in forever. The home gym's cool if you're kind of like in one of those like internally motivated, like you have an interest in like a very specific lift or program that you just want to focus in on yourself, it's cool. But there's definitely the social part that you miss out with the gym. You miss out on even just basic things like having a pump and being able to see yourself in the mirror. Like you, of course, I could put up mirrors, but like I don't feel like doing that. I have to get a bunch of tools and learn how to do it and whatnot. Like I'll do it at some point. It's on my long-term to-do list, but there's something nice about a commercial gym with like good lighting and good mirrors and everything's placed out properly. A lot of things are selectivized too, and there's a proper dumbbell rack where you don't have to load up every single thing in your gym with plates every time you want to use it. So that's
Do you have
nice.
any dumbbells? You have any dumbbells at your place? Are they like the
I have Olympic dumbbells, but
yeah.
I don't want to spend all the space on just a dumbbell rack that would take up like a third of the gym. Like I'd rather just use machines or cables
You do any
instead.
of the adjustable ones? I've never used those. Do you like those?
No, my whole thing is like I'd probably just ride it out with these. I don't use dumbbells all that much. But when I do get a bigger gym, when I have more space, I would love to get like a proper, even if it's just like those old school iron, like plate
Yeah.
loaded actual dumbbells. I think those are sick. And I see them fairly regularly on
Yeah.
Facebook for like maybe 2 grand for a full 5 to 100 or so rack. I'm like, I would happily do that just for like the old school vibe of it. I would
Yeah.
never that is
I,
get the mirrors behind it. I'm like, yeah, that's happening someday. I don't have
Yeah,
to
I saw
sleep.
some Intech stainless steel ones on there they were older, they were a good price, and I waited like an hour and they were gone. And someone got them. This is the same thing. I don't have a full one. I have like because I train a couple of my clients over here sometimes too, so I have like the little ones to like I think all of them up to 30 or 35, and then I go like 40, 50. I think next one's like 75, 100, 120. So just so yeah, because I don't got the space for that at all.
Yeah.
I think one of the questions, since we're kind of talking about it, one of the questions we had was, are there any like must-have pieces for home gyms? What would you say is the most essential in your opinion?
Well, the most essential is going to be the most versatile if we're just talking one piece. So it's a boring answer, but your power rack or your Smith machine. Now, I would say if you look at any home gym review or home gym tour, whatever, on YouTube, Instagram, wherever, it's all the same. It's going to be a power rack and it's a power lifter and it's a power lifter's home gym and it's just powerlifting stuff. They might have like a GHR or maybe like adjustable dumbbells or like even a like the old Louis Simmons. I can't remember what the name of it is, but where you swing your
The
legs back.
hyper, reverse hyper. Yeah.
Reverse hyper. Yeah, I couldn't remember that for my life for whatever reason, but it's usually just basic stuff like that, which I don't have a problem with. But I think there needs to be more bodybuilding oriented home gyms. And I've gotten so many comments on my home gym tour videos. They're like, this is the first gym I'm seeing on YouTube where it's actually like bodybuilding focused and the centerpiece isn't a squat rack. So I would say if you're interested in hypertrophy training, a Smith machine's a pretty cool option. It's just as versatile as a squat rack, I'd say. Hinges get a little bit funky depending on the range of motion of the Smith. And obviously, you don't have a barbell to do curls, but that's a pretty easy thing to add on. So a
Do
Smith
you, do
machine
you,
with an
do you have a
then
preference, sorry, of like straight down or the angled Smith?
I prefer the vertical Smith.
Yeah.
Um, I find it just a little bit more comfortable for pressing for whatever reason, even though the angled Smith is designed for pressing. For whatever reason, maybe it's just because I'm used to it, but for whatever reason, I do kind of like it better. I also find that uh, the angled Smith machines, for whatever reason, they have you rack the bar in wrist flexion. So when you unrack, it's an extension. It just sets you in a weird position. So it could be something as small as that, where in a
Yeah.
vertical Smith, you can set up either way. You can actually unrack in flexion and you have a more stacked wrist when you go to press it. But
Yeah, that's one
I
of the
don't
things that
have
I
a,
talk about is a lot is the distal compression affects the bigger stuff, the more
yeah.
proximal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was just listening to your expansion and compression model video
Oh,
right before
cool.
kind of catch up on it. So it's all fairly new to me. I'm like familiar with kind of like the general concepts and like specific situations that you might describe in, but it's cool stuff.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we have some questions on that too. We'll go over that in a second. Yeah, when it was talking about going to the gyms, like the only time I really like missed going to the gym, I realized I was trying to get ready for my show, and I was like, "Fuck, man, I need that external validation. I can't
Yeah.
just. I think I look okay, but I need people to be like, "Wow, dude, what's going on? You get ready for this?" Because that's really where it made the biggest difference for me. So as far as the equipment, I obviously I think like the you got to have some kind of multi-station thing. Like I have the squat rack that's got I have the Vander, what is it called? The Vander I forget what it is, M18 Plus or something like that. So it's the squat rack with the Smith machine, with the cable, selectorized cable. So like, I mean, if I was going to get one piece, that's your thing because it's got the two dual pulleys too. So it's got the high pulley and then it's got which is just like a 1-to-1 ratio, and it's got the individual pulleys that are the 2-to-1 ratio. So you got like a
Oh,
straight pull down, so you can actually do like a pull down attachment under, and it's like straight down real. So I like that. But yeah, I think everyone's got to get that. But something else I really like that I have is I like having like a good shoulder press. I know a lot of people don't love the shoulder press, but it's like I've got the dumbbells and I can always throw those up, but I don't know. I've always liked shoulder pressing better than the free weights, and I've always done both. But I got the old school Nautilus Explode shoulder press. Do you know that one?
oh yeah.
That was money. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Super cool. So I don't know exactly what are you talking like the old school one or the
Yeah.
like okay.
The
So
plate
I
loaded one
can't
where it's got like the two handles right there and it's that kind of arcing one there, or
yeah.
you can come out and it's a lot wider.
Okay, like are we talking like the 90s era one?
I think they started in the 90s, but they kept doing it up
Yeah.
until like, the mid 2000s. I don't think they do it anymore. They have a really
Yeah,
good pull down version that I didn't get. They have the chest press, the flat one is really good.
yeah. Oh, well, they look. I love those Nautilus machines. Like I see a ton of them over in on bodybuilders in just like Europe or the UK. They have all sorts of Nautilus stuff at their gyms, and it all looks so sick. It's all designed well, grips are set up properly, and everything. So yeah, I mean that there's a reason why I got my Cybex overhead press too. I really wanted one because it's like it's cool to press with a barbell or a Smith, but at some point having whether it's like a neutral grip or a semi-pronated or something on that machine and the added stability, kind of like the arced path. It just feels good.
Yeah.
There's something unique about it. And I think if I had to pick one piece that is maybe a little bit underrated, there's something that I think a lot of people would benefit from. I know we already talked about the rows, but I would pick a like a good chest supported T-bar row. I think there's like when you're in a home gym, obviously you're using you're bent over a lot if you're doing squats, deadlifts, all that kind of stuff. And the Smith or just with a barbell, it's like a lot of axial loading. So having some way to take some of that pressure off, something to give you a nice resistance profile too, like a T-bar row or something where you can make it a little bit easier in the squeeze and you can actually get a full squeeze and not be limited by it. I think that's quite nice too. So
Is that
chest
why you
support,
like it better than just like on a bench with like dumbbells if you have to do chest support it because the resistance
yeah,
profile?
because when I do like a chest supported row or shrug, it feels okay, but I always feel limited by my strength in the squeeze. So being able to have something that kind of just matches the internal strength curve, I think is quite nice. Um, I'm actually funny enough, I'm actually just starting to kind of re-implement strict shrugging variations. I've been doing like a 60-degree chest supported incline dumbbell shrug, which feels good, but
Is that
it's
considered a Kelso shrug or that's different?
well, I think I'm pretty sure a Kelso shrug would fall along the lines of just horizontal shrugging,
Okay.
which I've never really clicked with. So I like the concept of it, but it always feels weird. It could just be the moment arm that makes it feel
So
weird. And I
there's
would
no
just
incline on a Kelso shrug?
no, the way I see most people do Kelso
Okay.
shrugs, I'm not sure the exact definition
Yeah.
of who invented it, but it seems like it's generally referred to as a horizontal shrug.
Okay.
So like sitting on a cable row,
Yeah.
shrugging back. Versus what I'm doing. It could be a Kelso shrug if it's not like a true standing shrug. I'm not sure what that encompasses,
Yeah, I don't
but
know either.
it's a happy medium between the
Yeah.
two. It feels great for the mid and upper traps,
And that's
but
so good too to like get your collar like your collarbones moving around a little bit too. You're getting like
that's what I'm saying.
rotations. So
Yeah,
many people
because
like
the
they think this isn't supposed to move at all.
no, well, people also think that shrugging is just elevation.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm like, even lately, I've been telling my clients that are having a hard time with like shrugging or rowing. I'm like, just put your hand on your trap and shrug this other side here. Just elevate without actually bringing your clavicle or shoulder joint in towards kind of like the back, like the lower part of the back of your neck is my typical reference point for it. I'm like, just elevate. You feel that your trap moves, but it doesn't actually shorten, maybe a tiny bit. But if you actually drive your clavicle up and back towards the lower part of the back of your neck and you feel that, and especially you feel like the distal part of your upper trap, you feel a major contraction there. So I think there still needs to be kind of a forward moving or forward thinking trap training revolution in the fitness industry. I'd say a lot of people are just kind of like rowing to like hit their general back, but they don't really focus too much on their traps, let alone like particular regions of the traps, I'd say.
Yeah, I hear that that's not something you got to do anymore. If I was going to say an underrated piece, what I like, which nobody ever uses, is I love the multi hip. I think that is a really good piece of equipment, especially if you're using it for like addressing imbalances. But like you can do so much with that, and you can train true hip extension, you can train hip flexion, adduction, abduction, you can change the angles and stuff. So I like that a lot, just for the versatility and for like I can do that instead of doing some of my breathing shit to reposition. I can activate certain things on one side of my pelvis. Like, oh, that create the shift I need. Now I got space. I squat. It feels good. So I really I use that a lot as a corrective tool, but also just hypertrophy. Nobody trains their hip flexors either. I think that that's pretty undervalued as well, especially if you're doing from the lengthened part, which nobody gets lengthened tension on the hip flexors like ever.
Yeah, that's it's funny you say that because I haven't seen that machine
They're gone
in a
now.
commercial gym. Like I don't think I've ever seen it in a commercial gym. My high school gym actually did have one, so I remember seeing it there, and it's like I don't know if your high school gym had one, but we were all like what is that? What do you use
Yeah.
that for?
Yeah, they used to be popular, but now there's so many like ass machines, they just kind of replace it because that's usually what it would be used for. The girls be doing it for like their butt. So now they've got
Yeah.
so many more. I bought mine at the gym I work out at. So this is exactly what you're talking about. I hit up the owner. I was like, hey, you want to get rid of this? Nobody ever uses it. He's like, dude, I was literally taking it out of my gym today, and I was just gonna put it like like on the side to make room for something. So I got it for like $900, and it's the old Life Fitness stacked up all the way. So yeah, that was cool. I think that's pretty underrated, but. Awesome, man. Yeah, I can see how people can end up spending a lot of money on the gyms. I'm about to do all my mirrors and shit. Like you were saying, that's expensive, dude. That shit starts to get pricey. But
I know. Well, it's jacked up in price too, and it's like it's my gym, so like I don't mind it. It's a tax write-off too, so it is what it is. But it's just like it's one of those projects where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to like move my racks around. I'm gonna have to move everything and get the right tools and like make sure I don't mess it up. I'm like, it's always like I'll do it like in the winter, like that's like my spring project or something. Now it's a couple years later. I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm like it's the same gym every time. Like I need something to kind of like spice it up. Like
yeah.
I ultimately I am a bodybuilder, so like I don't compete obviously, but that's why I lift. I'm not here just for strength. So it is nice to be able to like pose in the mirror or even just take pictures for YouTube because I've noticed one thing since training at the home gym, my posing kind of sucks now compared to what it used to be. I actually had a worse physique, but lifted in a commercial gym and like could actually watch myself lift a little bit more.
That's true, huh? And one thing I was curious, this is what I was curious about a second ago, is like we were talking about going to the gyms and stuff. You are doing this coaching thing online full time. You're working on your basement, you're recording in the basement. You got a girl, your girl lives with you, right?
Mhm.
So like what do you do to socialize outside? Besides since you're not going to the gym much, do you have like a lot of outside friends and you get to go like are you a drinker, you go party, you do anything, or are you like pretty focused on your internal world?
Oh, there's an external world? No, I'm definitely a homebody, so I don't get out all that much. Especially since working from home. That's been like kind of a culture shock, but I'd say I'm a pretty social
Remind me what
person.
you did before. I forgot what your previous career was.
I was training people in person in
Okay.
gyms and managing gyms. So that's basically what I've been doing since high school. And even in high school, at the end of it, I was just working front desk at a gym. So I've been doing it forever, basically my whole adult life. But yeah, I wouldn't say I socialize nearly as much as most normal people. I play golf every now and then. I'll go to hockey games. We have an ECHL team, which is cool. And yeah, I hang out with my brother, my family a decent amount too. So it's nothing crazy. I live a pretty boring, pretty chill life. But that's pretty
That's the
much it.
impression. That's how it is for me. That's how it is for a lot of us in this game, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
well, I mean, like I remember just getting into like the fitness industry, and you would hear about all these bodybuilders on their prep, and you're like, oh, I don't even know what like prep is, what's competing. They're like, yeah, like I haven't gone out to dinner in 6 months because I've been prepping and like getting ready for bodybuilding. I'm like, yeah, like wow, that's kind of a commitment for this. And then you get into it, and it's like I'm not even prepping, and I find myself through going through phases where I'm like, yeah, I'm just focused on lifting. I don't even care to do all that much else.
How strict are you with the other aspects? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you eat clean and stuff, but like, are you eating like a competitive bodybuilder, like all the time, or do you do like an 80/20? What's your kind of diet like philosophy for you? Obviously, we all know what we can do to maximize, everything, but like, what do you usually actually do?
Yeah, so my current diet is actually pretty much just revolved around maintenance and generally eating consistently whole foods that are generally healthy. And it's like I don't mind mildly processed ingredients or stuff, but I try obviously not to eat like a whole bunch of processed stuff. So typically my diet's like Greek yogurt with some granola for breakfast. Lunch will be a smoothie with maybe like Ezekiel toast or something, or even like a protein bar in some cases where I'll put in like spinach, soy milk, bunch of fruits, spinach, banana, that kind of stuff, protein and creatine, and toss that together. And then for dinner, it just kind of rotates. I don't even lock myself into anything in particular, but I find that I kind of always resort to like the same basic things. So I'll do like fajitas or like chicken with mashed potatoes and peas or like something kind of just basic like that. So it's
Who does the
nothing like,
cooking?
huh?
Does she do the cooking or you cook?
I cook typically. She hates cooking. Actually, we both hate cooking, but she's a nurse, so she usually gets home at like 8 p.m. or something like that. So I'm like, I'm not gonna make her
Yeah.
cook. She has to be bed right after. And I don't hate cooking that much. Like I think once I kind of respark that interest in wanting to just like learn more about nutrition and all that kind of stuff, because I still go back and forth between like being interested in it and being like least amount of effort to maximize my outcome with nutrition. which is typically how I am. I'm kind of a minimalist with it versus training, which takes up like my more maximalist side of my brain, I would say.
That's pretty interesting. I never really thought about it. It is very tiring because the only time I'm maximizing everything, maximizing is contest prep. Otherwise, I do have certain things a little bit more chill than others. So you only get the 3 meals? Do you get anything else in there?
Well, it depends what I'm doing with my body weight. So for now, where I've been kind of maintaining, actually slightly leaning out over the past year, I have not been eating all that much. Like my appetite's a little bit lower. But when I was bulking, so like when I was going from my mini cut back in 2023, early in that year, February around that time, until the road to 18-inch arms, which is a year later, uh, I was eating a lot of food. It was probably a little over 4,000 calories a day, but I don't track. I just kind of eat intuitively, and I keep a very close eye on the scale if I'm adjusting my body weight up or down. So if basically if I'm bulking or cutting, I'll keep a very close eye on my body weight. And I was just eating so much food. Like it took a lot of eating to get to that point. I wouldn't be shocked if it was closer to 5,000 calories a day too, which for a for a natty guy that's not super tall, it is kind of a
And that was pretty clean.
it was decently clean back then.
5,000 clean's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, it wasn't, I would say it was just like in the middle,
Yeah.
probably like 50-50. It wasn't like a bunch of garbage, but it was a lot of like Greek yogurt and oatmeal and chicken. That's kind of like the main part of my diet. Um,
Are you an oil guy? Do you like olive oil stuff when you're trying to gain at all?
yeah, if I'm cooking, yeah, I'll typically use olive oil.
I mean, do you
So
use it for the extra excess calories at all? You like drizzle on rice or anything?
I wouldn't drizzle it on rice, but I would always cook with it. So if I'm like cooking a chicken breast, I'll put olive oil in the thing and then just cover it so it doesn't splatter everywhere. I'm not a good cook. I just I don't really know what I'm doing, but yeah, that's typically what I do. And then the rest of my diet, I'm trying to even think of what I use to like fill in the gaps to get that many calories. I would have like I wouldn't be super strict. So like if I was going out to eat, I would get like I wouldn't like not get a side. Like I would get fries with my tacos or whatever. Or I would get pizza and that kind of stuff. And I wasn't holding back at all drinking. I'm not saying I was drinking a lot, but I'd have a few beers a couple times a week or even just once a week. Trying to think of snacks too. I was definitely eating a good amount of Halo Top, which obviously not a whole ton of calories, but that's a little bit of extra protein. And I would eat a lot of snacks too. So I would snack on things like trail mix or goldfish throughout the day. I'd have a lot of
There you go.
bagels. Like those,
That
those
adds
are
up. The bagels are the good one. Yeah, that kind
oh
of
yeah,
stuff.
that's
Yeah.
where it really comes from. And I was having a lot of I can't have peanut butter, I'm allergic, but like sunflower seed butter, I'd have a lot of that on like a bagel or toast or something. And that's kind of where the bulk of the calories came from. And there's probably more garbage I was eating too that I just can't even remember. So like shitty snacks and that kind of stuff too.
Dude, I gained 44 pounds, I guess. I went from 154 to 198 my freshman year of college, natty. Although when I say that, like I lost like 10 pounds of muscle right before I went to college. So it was like some of that was gaining that back. But I did a pizza. So I would just eat my bodybuilding meal and I would get all my protein in and then I would eat a personal pizza after that, after every fucking meal. And I did that for 4 months, 4 months. And I
That's
also
such a
was
college thing
drinking
to do.
close to a gallon of milk a day. I was doing I'm old. So that's when what was it, the Go Mad?
Oh man, yeah.
So, so I don't know if I recommend that, but I stayed pretty lean and yeah, I've never been able to bulk like that again. Like I can't bulk hard. It is so like especially once you hit a certain like body weight, your body just is just like we're gonna keep you here, bro. You can try as hard as you want, and it's gonna take a lot, but we're gonna barely budge at all. So yeah,
Yeah, well, it's like when you're lifting and you're just a healthy person overall and you're generally eating healthy too, like your appetite's going to stay pretty regulated, I
yeah.
find. So it's like when I was peak bulk on like the road to 18 inch arms and I got up to like 206 and I'm 5'8" for reference. I was just like, yeah, like I can't do it anymore. And I almost instantly, just by like eating based on what my appetite was, almost instantly, and I don't mean literally, but like within a couple weeks, I was like 191
Yeah.
after I like, all right, I'll just eat intuitively. I'm like, okay, wow. Like I didn't think I lost 16 pounds like that quickly, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's probably where my body wants to be rather than where I'm trying to get it to.
Yeah, I had GVS on. He debated Snitch, she's coming back on in a couple of weeks. But speaking of, so I don't know. I think I mentioned this a little bit to you last time. or before, I think I messaged you, but now it's been like longer. I've been able to see it kind of go. So I look at my analytics for, I've done, I think like 60 podcasts now, at least. Um, the second one I did with GVS has the most watch time and views. And then number two, like right on it, is the one that we did. Like that is like
That's
right
sick.
there. Like and that and the other one I did with GVS is below that. The roundtable I did with all of them is a little bit below that. The debate and everybody else is quite a bit below you. And I'm just like, that's I think you have such like loyal like viewership, I feel like because like when I look at your stuff, I feel like GVS does too, but even like for you, like to have the same amount of viewing hours of him who's got like three times the social media presence, I feel like your people are really like tuned into you and they really love what you do. I see like the way you post, like it's not like what you would say this is how you post to somebody who's starting off and trying to become like super insta famous or become a YouTube personality, but it's like authentic. You don't put like the catchy titles, you don't do like tons of editing, you don't try to like have a fake persona. At least it doesn't seem like that at all. It seems like you're very, very genuine. So what do you credit that to, that your viewers are so like locked into what you do and that they kind of like want to support you like a lot. I feel like you have some of the most loyal viewers that I've seen.
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, I mean, thanks. And I do agree. I mean, the people that watch my videos, it's like you can go through and it's like just the amount of comments, the amount of like recurring like themed jokes you'll
Inside
see how I
jokes,
kind of talk.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like it's not a parasocial channel at all. Like the way that I present myself, the way I talk, I don't string together this like pre-thought out plan to create a parasocial relationship with anybody, but at the same time, I don't compromise my own integrity and authenticity. And I think ultimately that's key. So it's like the reason ultimately it's this. It's I made my channel because there started to become this movement that I had already been planning to speak up on. And I was like, now it's my time. Like I have to make the channel. I'm gonna miss the bus if I don't say what I need to say. And it's like the community is going to create this new way of thinking, and I'm not going to be able to kind of try and at least shape it in a way that I want to. I'm not saying it goes through me because I was just some random lifter, but I'm saying I can't put my voice in that to try and shape how things are going because basically uh I started my channel not knowing there would be an audience because I mean, let's be real. Like, if you're a serious lifter, like obviously where you are now, where you're in SoCal, it's probably a little different. It's probably more common for you to go see other jacked people down the street and at local gyms and whatnot. But for me, it's like where I live in New England, it's like for me to go to a gym and see like a legit, like pretty jacked natural lifter is like that's rare. Like you're not going to see that every day, even at big, nice commercial gyms. So basically, I started off my channel as a way to talk about how I felt like I had been kind of duped by the fitness industry into becoming hyper focused and obsessed with progressive overload, squat, bench, deadlift, powerlifting, and just viewing progression as the driver of growth rather than progressive overload in general, progression being the outcome of creating
Yeah.
growth.
What year
So
was this?
this is 2022, but since like late 2020, I had been putting ideas together on my phone. And it was kind of like I started to see more people talk about like maybe why just being dogmatic about barbells wasn't the right way to go. Like I think Eugene Teo had a video put out, and I was like, oh, interesting. Like that's something I was planning to talk about. And I was like, okay, this is starting to catch some traction. Like now's my time. This is when I should put myself out there. So I think it was right place, right time. And my motivation was just to almost have a visual store of my or like database of all of my ideas. So I put my videos out for myself. YouTube was just the place to store them, where I could kind of document my thoughts and actually have them fully articulated. So um, that's pretty much all it was. And I think what ended up happening was there were more people that had been through what exactly I had been through, and way more people resonated with it than I ever thought would. And I think that's ultimately the base of what my audience is. And of course, once I have the following, it's like, yeah, obviously I'm still going to talk about what I set out to talk about. And that's it's like even to this day, every video that I make is just what I want to talk about. Like I am kind of selfish with it, but I am going to start to make more things that can actually help the people that do watch the videos, whether it's something for beginners or something that people ask about all the time, that kind of stuff. So that's it. I think it's it's pretty much just the reason my channel is I guess it has loyal viewers and whatnot is mostly because I it's the reason why I started it, rather than me starting the channel just to like get famous or whatever. It's like I just want all of my thoughts to be out there, and if you want to watch it, cool. And I think that's something that has been probably lacking in most of the fitness industry.
A lot of people now, yeah, they go in with this whole agenda. You know, they have their 5 year plan, or even before, longer than that. They plan it when they're in college, when they're getting their PhDs, right? So,
Yeah.
like, do you remember what your first video was about?
Yeah, so my technical first video was it was just called Intro to the Channel. It was just me sitting basically in this exact spot. What would it be 3 or 4 years ago at this point? I was just saying it was just a 3 or 4 minute video of just me saying what the channel is going to be about. The first video was uh the problem with the big three lifts. I believe that's what it was titled. And it's kind of like a somewhat of a controversial title where it's I'm not like trying to like clickbait people or anything, but it's basically just like the problem with the big three lifts, like what could possibly be wrong with them? And I think people clicked it out of curiosity. But the video was about not necessarily about the lifts themselves, but about how the approach that we take to those lifts basically causes a ripple effect in the rest of your program, and it turns bodybuilders into powerlifters. So it's like the gist of the video for people who haven't seen it, or maybe people not too familiar with my channel, just to kind of summarize it in a quick way. If you're focusing on something like, let's say you're putting your push day together, your upper day, and you started off with a bench press. When you're doing the bench press, you're going to be very focused on strength. People are always asking what your bench is. You're subconsciously comparing yourself to other people. You're worrying way more about your progression on that lift than you would for anything else. And you're going to be more prone to adjusting your technique slowly over time to allow for progressive overload, quote unquote, to happen faster, to display strength, higher strength levels pretty quick. So it's normal to start off with a good technique that feels great, relatively flat back and moderate grip with good tempo, etc. And then your grip starts to widen up, your back starts to arch more, your shoulders kind of elevate, your scap stay retracted, you use leg drive, then your butt comes up, then you bounce the bar. It's like before you know it, it's like what has happened? And not only does it kind of ruin that lift, and I know a lot of those things are stuff that you talk about too, so I know that kind of probably resonates with you as well. But it's like when you view that lift as like a primary lift in your program, what happens to the rest of your program? Now it's not as important. When you get so hyped up and so fixated on the bench press, are you going to care that much about like lateral raises or the pec deck or the tricep work you do? Or is that just called accessory work? And that's one of the other videos I made at the start was like accessory lifts don't exist. But I'll kind of leave it at that. I think that kind of gets the gist of it.
Yeah, and I love getting like perspectives from people who don't necessarily like follow ECM closely or like really into it because a lot of this stuff is intuitive too. Like a lot of the stuff that goes with that, like we already know and we're already seeing, but it's like someone who's obsessed with their bench, like you said, yeah, they'll start off good and then once they start getting to that point where they are just in a powerlifter style, like now when they do their lateral raises, now they don't get upward shoulder rotation. Like their scapula doesn't upwardly rotate. So now they're missing tension on their delts because they've specialized at that bench press. That's been their goal to get that heavier. And same thing with like squats and deadlifts. I see people just really pulling the heavy numbers off the floor, which sometimes it just feels good. I'm all for doing whatever you like, but that's going to have an impact on the way you squat. That changes your pelvis shape. So it's just like, yeah, everything has the cost. And I think in bodybuilding, your goal is to like minimize the cost like across everything because we're trying to spread it out over everything, like counter to like how a powerlifter would be.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's almost like we both see the same issue, but our perspectives are kind of coming at it from different ways. Where you're very focused on the physical and like the anatomy, the biomechanics behind it, and just the model of which you view training through, kind of that lens. And then I almost view it through like the mental side of it, where you can point out things about like the way your pelvis moves and all that kind of stuff when you're squatting or deadlifting, just focusing on strength. And then it like it makes sense. Like those are actual issues that are occurring. And then same thing with like the perspective that I've always come at it with is like, all right, well, if you're that focused on, and this is even just how the culture was years back, especially in like the mid to late 2010s, it's like if you were to post like a push session or like an upper body session on Instagram or YouTube and you like posted your bench press and then let's say you posted your curls in that same video or it's like a slide like whatever it's called carousel on Instagram, people would like make fun of you if you took your curls seriously. They'd be like, "Oh, you're such a bro. Like that's such a loser lift." And then you're like, yeah, fine. I'll just do a 3 by 10 and like not talk about it and just pretend it doesn't exist." And that's like, all right, well, no wonder why everyone has 16-inch arms when they're benching 400. Like that's probably because people like make fun of you for taking curls seriously.
Well, I saw you mention something that was very true about like, if you're going to progressive overload, like do it to your arms and and other body parts too. Don't just think about it
Yeah.
only for compound lifts. And I think that's something that there's so many times when you watch content creators, it's like I mean, I try to provide like nuance and new things to people, but a lot of times when you watch somebody, it's you're hitting stuff that you kind of already know, and it's just like slamming you over the head, like reminding you, like, fuck, I should really take that. Like when I watch GVS train his arms, I'm like, fuck, like I should probably train my like and you, and I watch what you do with your arms, like the amount of like effort that goes into them. Like just because I don't like it, like I feel like I should, even though I'm going to failure, like I probably have one or two. I could do like a little bit of extra. I could do a rest pause like GVS. I feel like I could get some more out of it. So sometimes when you kind of watch other people, it's just like tugging on something that you already have at, you're like, fuck, I got to bring that back in and start thinking about that. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I think people have to be aware that the fitness industry and whether you're whether you're aware of it or not, it always kind of it does have an effect on the way you think and the perspective you view training through. So it's like even myself, like one of the examples that even now where I'm like really consciously thinking about all this stuff the best that I can, it's like I find myself kind of like dissing calves and not worrying about calf training. But when I think back to like the way I innately felt about the muscle of the calf, as silly as that might sound, before I started lifting, I thought big calves and someone that had jacked calves, I thought that was a sick look. And then all of a sudden I got into the fitness industry and I'm so focused on like programming around the big three and viewing primary and accessory lifts, and nobody does calves because everyone's focused on squat, bench, deadlift, and that is no carryover. And then it's like you just forget about it. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, somebody inserted the consensus or popular trending lens to view training through and put it in my head, and I wasn't aware enough to see that that isn't even what I care about. Like I didn't care about maxing out my low bar squat when I first started lifting, and I cared more about calves. And it's like 2 years later I'm squatting 500 pounds and my calves are 14 inches. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like around what? So 2020, you had a kind of a change in your like philosophy of training, your mentality a little bit. And I would say
Yeah.
what you consider yourself like an intermediate at that time?
Yeah, kind of like typical intermediate where it's like you have some really good areas and then some areas are just very much underdeveloped because your training's not going to be perfect. I mean, yeah, your intermediate physique is basically how did you respond to training as a beginner and early
Yeah.
intermediate. Yeah, I'd say about intermediate level.
So from the last 5 years, has your philosophy changed more? Has your mentality changed any more the last 5 years? What's changed since then, if anything?
Yeah. So I would say it's kind of just been I've almost like kept the same general philosophy with training, but I have also uh I would say I've dug deeper and figured out what's beneath it. What are the roots where this philosophy goes? And I've learned a lot more from that. And that's kind of the way that I approach my channel. It's like I'm not trying to like discover something new or like create some new fad. I'm trying to figure out and truly explain why I believe what I believe and explain that better over time. So I would say it generally started off as like, okay, there's a major problem. We are way too focused on these lifts, and focusing so much on this is at the expense of other areas. So, squat, bench, deadlift, attention to that takes place from everything else you do because now it's how are you going to get as excited for a lat pull down as you are for a bench press, even though they're of equal importance to the way your physique looks. So, that's kind of the basis of it. I'd say from there, a couple notable developments that have happened over the past few years would be um, number one would be how do we take the basics and apply them as principles rather than specific lifts? So a lot of people say, oh, this is a gimmick, just stick to the basics. And people view the basics as, again, squat, bench, deadlift. But for me, it's like, okay, well, why are those lifts the basics? Are they the basics because they're historic, or are they the basics because they have a unique set of principles that most other lifts don't follow? Or is it literally just it's historic and we have numbers to compare to, and you will know if you're doing good or not because you know what strength levels you can expect if you're doing well. So I think it's a little bit of both. But ultimately, when you look at why those lifts stand the test of time and a lot of other lifts don't, the reality to me becomes more along the lines of what are the main physical principles for why those lifts have stood that test of time? It's going to be one, stability. I'm not saying each of those three lifts has a ton of stability, but there's an extremely strong opposing force. Like there's no denying that. When you're squatting, you're pressing against the earth. There's no like, yeah, your hips and knees can shift around. So it's not perfectly stable like internally, and there's not like hip support or anything like that, but you're pressing against the earth. When you're deadlifting, same thing. When you're benching, you have a commercial grade bench right behind your back, perpendicular to the force that's going through the bar. So those are all hyper stable and they allow for unlimited progression potential. But then you look at the other lifts that don't quite stand the test of time, they usually lack that stability and that opposing force. And another one I should have mentioned here is the clear lockout. So usually something that's length biased or something that allows you to get a full lockout. So there's a reason why like a barbell row is like a popular lift, but isn't quite held to the same standard as a squat bench deadlift. It's because how do you know when you complete a rep? It's super hard in the contraction. So it's like, how much cheat do you allow? How do you know what counts and what doesn't versus a bench where, yeah, you lock it out and you know you got the rep. So being able to kind of take those principles and copy and paste them into lifts for other muscle groups makes a lot of sense to me. So, for example, like this T-bar row that we've talked about a couple times already, it's a length and biased resistance profile, and there is an opposing force with the chest pad. So you know when you get a full lockout and you have unlimited progression potential because you're never going to be limited by your own internal stability. Same goes the classic example I use as a preacher curl. Got one of these right behind me here, beauty piece from Hammer Strength, but it is a clear lockout versus like a standing curl where it gets a little bit tricky, especially as you get bigger. Then there's still good stability, but since it's a single joint movement, when the weight, if you're lifting over 100 pounds and you're 200 or below, and you have say 115 pounds in front of you, a full forearms distance away, you have to shift around, you have to compensate for that. So your technique does start to change over time, even if it doesn't necessarily limit you, it does change over time. So it's good and it's stable, but it's not to the same level of a squat bench deadlift. So a preacher curl gives you a clear lockout, or at least a more clear lockout, and allows for unlimited progression potential since you're actually locked in with the pad at the elbow. So that's yeah, those are kind of the main developments I'd say in my training philosophy. But there's a whole ton I could go into, I'd say.
Yeah, and I like that you bring up like opposing force, like the ground, and like that's counterforce through an ECM lens, and it does provide the stability, and you can tell that that's important. But the other thing is like it's going to help you get a better contraction as well. It's going to help you create a better what we call like gradient. So it's like you're intuitive with all these things. Like I said, some people like think that the ECM is some big complex thing, and it can be if you want to use it that way, especially if it's for pain and like pain management. But for bodybuilders, the good bodybuilders, especially a lot of the golden era bodybuilders, it's stuff that you're already doing intuitively. And a lot of it is stuff that you've been told not to do by kind of like the shits that you were saying, like turn off everything that feels good intuitively and just do this excessive range of motion. Don't let anything else move to help with. So that's kind of like one of the reasons why I started my channel as well. Obviously, like the Dr. Mike stuff. Like we can talk about that. What are your thoughts on the whole drama over the last week or so with Mr. Mike Israel?
Yeah, Mr. Mike. Oh, I love it. No, the funny thing is, it's like I said a few minutes ago, like I only talk about stuff that I really care about. The whole Mr. Mike thing, I think my level of attachment or care to that just dissipated so long ago, especially when you were talking about him last year, because right when we did our podcast last year was around the time where you were really critiquing his form. And that was kind of like one of the main things that had me kind of like get that wake up call to the RP style of training. So for me, it's like me knowing he's kind of a fraud is like it's almost old news. And I know it is
It
for you
is.
too. To
Yeah.
see all this come out, I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like I don't care enough to really talk about it. But um, one of the funny things is a lot of the stuff that you talk about and a lot of the stuff that you critique Mike on is all stuff that I learned from, guess what, my strength and conditioning coach when I was 15.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was
Well,
old school. He didn't
yeah,
hear all this new age shit, all the
yeah.
science-based people didn't get in his
And
head.
no, yeah, you're the first person that I've heard talk about those cues that have been kind of like lost in time, I would say.
Yeah.
So it's super interesting, and it's cool to hear it kind of come back to light because yeah, when you talk about like keeping a stacked rib cage and like especially for like delt training, keeping your like abs down, ribs down, and like maintaining that position, I'm like that's exactly what I worked on when I was 15 with my strength coach. I'm like, okay, so I didn't need to just abandon that for a crazy arch because Mike Israel says you have to.
Right.
Yeah. So it
It's funny, man. I've gotten a lot of follow up from of carryover from Solomon's video, and a lot of people that didn't know who I was or anything. Like they're mentioning me in the comments because I had the video in this Reddit post like 2 years ago where I just critiqued the shit out of his PhD because this is before I read it, but I just was reading the abstract and just looking at all this, and I just couldn't. I don't know, man. It's just wild how easy it is to fool like the masses, and there's so many people now that are like, well. Net positive. Like that's in the day. Like he's such a net positive. If you look at everything, I'm like
mm,
the good information that he gave, like the basic good shit. Like they could get that from you. They could get good info from Faz. They could do a Google search and find all the good shit he put out in like 5 minutes, and they wouldn't have all the negative shit that he provides with such a huge reach. So I think that net positive is kind of like a weird argument with somebody like him who they would have found the good stuff he had anyway. I don't
yeah.
think it's him is the only one that was presenting it at all.
Yeah, no, well, people get super defensive about people that have big followings because I think they view them as superior in some way. So it's like when you can kind of learn to detach the number from the actual person, then I find you have a pretty honest take. And I've noticed this with myself, where if if I see a big channel putting out bad information, I used to really just give them the benefit of the doubt. So like if Athlete X was using fake weights back then, I would have been like, who cares? It doesn't have any direct relevance to the information he's putting out. But if I was to see, say, copy and paste that to another channel that had hundreds of subscribers, I'd be like, nope, don't let this channel blow up. This sucks. So it's like, it just goes to show you that we all have like kind of this natural bias. And if you don't see that bias, you won't be able to overcome it. And that's how you get people saying, like, oh, we'll defend Mike Israetel. So it's when you start to just kind of make sure you take that bias out of viewing like the 5 million subscriber channel with all this fancy official marketing and the doctor title and all that kind of stuff. Once you see past that and you separate it, then you can be a little bit more objective. The key is just kind of getting there.
Yeah, and like you said, like anyone who was in the know, like unless they were getting some benefit from Mike, like they all that ship sailed a long time ago. Where they kind of lost credibility. But what I did think it helps, and a lot of people are saying it's not going to make a difference, and obviously it's not going to make a difference in the sense that he's not going to be poor. He's still going to have money and support, which I never want anyone to be be like on the street homeless. It's not what I want, but he's not going to be able to like create this new audience. It's just going to be who he has now. And it's funny listening, like looking through some of the comments. Like I'll look on his page. And I just think back to the first video I made about him, critiquing him that had a 20% like ratio. Now it's up to 90%. But it's like you look at his page and like you'll see someone make like a snarky, funny comment about him making fun of him, and it'll get like multiple thousands of likes, and then someone will make one where it's defending him and it'll get like 800, where before it used to be so switched. And it's just funny to me, the same people defending him saying, "Oh, I don't give a shit about that. He gave me good information." They were the same people using that as a call to authority when they were defending him earlier. Like, well, he's got his PhD, but now like, oh, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah,
I think it's a good wake up call for everybody, just to not look at anybody that way, and also to take the whole exercise science, higher education with a little bit of a grain of salt.
yeah, well, it's kind of funny just to see the amount of people that really view like, and I'm not disrespecting people with PhDs when I say this because obviously in a lot of cases it does exemplify and show that you have a lot of knowledge and time spent studying that subject, but to view that as like, I think we've been trained to just focus so heavily on qualifications that it almost seems like that makes somebody almost like immortal in a way. But I think once you can kind of see past that, just see like we're all humans, and it's like, is it fair to have such a high standard of somebody else that's also just a human? Probably not, but we've kind of been brainwashed into that by one, I would say, just like the country and society in general, just the world and how academia works. But let's be real, like Mr. Mike isn't he's not to blame at all because Dr. Mike, Dr. Mike,
Yeah.
Dr. Mike in every single video, PhD, oh, I'm a doctor.
Did
It's
you see
like,
him downplay it? Say he never talks about his PhD? What the fuck
yeah,
is
that's the
that?
problem. That's just manipulation.
The fuck
Yeah,
is that?
that's my issue with it. Like for me, it's like, okay, like if that's his PhD, like yeah, that sucks. But it's like if he's not shoving that down your throat, like who really cares? Like it ultimately it is about the information. But when he manipulatively uses like, oh, I sneakily kind of got this PhD and now like I'm so superior and I know everything and I can critique anyone I want. Nobody can say anything about me. Then, oh, like, okay, like what are we supposed to do now? Like and then of course it all comes out and you just, oh yeah, it's just it's the entry level to being a good scientist. You're like, no, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah,
Like, what's
exactly.
going on here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously some fields, like I have a client who's a nuclear physicist. He has his PhD. Like, I think he's probably one of the more qualified people in that field. Having that education will do that. But for like exercise science, it's kind of like the people that are best in the field. They're not researching. They're not getting their PhDs. You know, it reminds me of like I went to school for finance, and all my finance teachers, they're all in their ivory tower. They're all getting tenure. They all had their PhDs. None of them had done like a ton of real world work. And I had this one professor just taught one class. He wasn't getting tenured. He was a professional. He didn't have his PhD. He had his MBA and a lot of work experience. And so he was teaching this one class. And he kind of would make fun of these PhD teachers. He goes, "You guys are taking all these classes. These fuckers don't know anything about the real world." He's like, "I'm out here. You think people that make money, that know how to make money really well, are teaching you that? They're out there making money." He's like, "That's what I'm doing." And it was for, I think it was my risk analysis or my financial statement analysis class. And I got way, way more out of that class than any other one that I had with the higher educated teachers. So it's like,
Really?
yeah, I've always, and then with my job, I've worked with a lot of physical therapists that have their doctorates, and it's like some of them are fucking retarded. So it's like I've always, I've never like I don't automatically put that at you at a higher level, at least not for certain degrees. But not to say that if that's your thing, you shouldn't pursue it, but don't like hang your hat on that and make that like your thing. Like the trenches are what really matters with anything, and that's what just blew my mind. I didn't know how people could just look at the way this guy moved and look at his body and just be like, yeah, but look at what his degree says. It's not taking into account what we actually seeing with our own eyes in reality.
Well, that happened to me when I was what, 18, 19, and I first found his channel. Like I had my strength coach who is the strength coach of like a champion NHL team now, which I was super lucky. I got super lucky to have him as a coach, but he's teaching me all the stuff about how to train properly, like the positioning you want to train in and whatnot. And then when I see doctor, PhD, Renaissance periodization, all this fancy stuff, I just ditched that. And it's like, if that happened now when I'm 26, it's like, maybe that's not going to happen. But when I'm newer to bodybuilding and that was strength and conditioning, that's very different. This is bodybuilding and I'm 18 or 19. It's like, well, you can see how that does work. And maybe even if you take someone who's 25, 30, 35, 40 in their 50s, 60s, whatever it is, if you take those people and say they didn't have a strength coach in high school to teach them the basics and they have nothing to reference, it's like, well, of course you're gonna like go to that popular channel. Like when I get into a new hobby, it's like it's still comfortable and easy to go to the channel that has all the views and like has some qualifications, even if they're not perfect. It's like, yeah, it's probably easier to trust that person than go to like the channel with 30,000 subscribers that like could be right, but I don't know enough to be able to really know if they're right, even though if it kind of makes sense. And it's like, yeah, I can see why a lot of people kind of fall for that trap, and I don't blame them. They're being manipulated.
Yeah, I always wonder like how much of this was actually thought out in advance, like the whole plan of attack, because it seems like it was pretty like, you know, like not I don't know to what degree, but it seems like it was foreplanned a little bit for sure.
I think so because I think what kind of happened, and you kind of see this often, but I would say more definitely to a more extreme level with Renaissance or with Mike, Mr. Mike, you said. It's you kind of see like a channel start off kind of niche, kind of small, and they gain respect within like the underground community. And then they start to get a little bit more famous, they get a little more followers and whatnot. They're like, oh, now I'm kind of getting like maybe the more casual crowd that I have a little more control over because they're less experienced and I have a stronger appeal to authority with the following that I have. And it's like then you can start to see how somebody goes from like the kind of niche Renaissance periodization of the 2010s, where they're talking about powerlifting and actual periodization principles, to like, oh, like we're kind of excelling past everybody. We're on this kind of fast track to doing well. All right, let's critique every Hollywood actor's workouts that they're doing when they're trying to just get ready for a movie and then make video and then go from just like making videos that are going to help people to like, okay, we have to release a video every day. What could we talk about today? And it's like you kind of see how that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see how it happens if money's your main motivator for sure. That's one thing that I'm glad. Like, I'll always have my outside stuff, so I won't have to like be dependent on content creation or online stuff. So I can always kind of like people give me shit. They're like, dude, nobody knows who you are, and you're out here just shitting all over Dr. Mike. And like, this is before other people are doing it. Like, that's not going to be good for your growth. I'm like, I don't fucking need it. I don't care. Like, I can be authentic, and I think that's always going to pay off more long term. Like we were talking about. I was thinking, there's a lot of kind of like stupid social media trends that I see that kind of catch on for a second, or even that they don't. But like, what right now? What's one of your least favorite trends you're seeing on social media, on Instagram or YouTube in the kind of fitness industry? Like you got
Um,
the one. I'll give you an example. One thing that I hate, um, and I don't know. I guess it has good intentions, and I don't even know if it's that common, but I just keep seeing it popping up. Probably because I talked about it. Is like these natural guys who are showing their physique from like 10 years of training. This is what you should expect, and it's like. They look like a maybe high level beginner lifter. Like I'm like, okay, like I kind of get where the intention is from, but I also think like that's not like you're just the shittiest genetics, and you're probably not doing things like 100% right. I think you're kind of setting the bar lower and like letting people be okay with that. You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen those?
Yeah, so funny enough, that never made it to my algorithm. I actually like I don't consume nearly as much fitness content overall as I used to, I would say, but I have seen that trend, but I mainly figured out about that trend from Atlas, where he made a post. He was like it was like an Instagram reel or something or a YouTube short. It like started off as that person saying like lifting isn't worth it or lifting naturally isn't worth it. I've been lifting for 10 plus years and this is only where I ended up. He's like showing his physique. And then Atlas Power Shrugged. It just cuts to a video of him just like on the beach, and it's just captioned like "try actually lifting." I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw that one.
I haven't
Like
seen that one, but I think he did another one of the guys I'm talking about too. Yeah, I see those all the time. It's like I feel like they just love the validation they get from other people, like maybe that are also fucking losers. I don't know. That sounds mean, but like, yeah, I know you look awesome. I'm right there with you. Like we look like totally normal dudes who like haven't been working out for a decade. Like when I was a natty at 21, like I looked way better than those fucking dudes who've been working out for 10 years.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like there's people that I looked better at natural, yeah, at 2021. I'm like, and then you look at the training, and it's like my training wasn't even perfect. It sucked. Like it didn't suck, but it was like high effort, just like power building style training when I was 20, 19, 20, 21. It's like even just doing that with a maximal effort versus these guys that kind of go in the gym, go through the motions, and just are purely in it for the results, where I at least had some love for lifting, even if
You think that's
results
what it
weren't
is? That's the main
either.
thing. They don't get the intrinsic value of it, huh? That probably
Yeah,
makes
well,
sense.
I think that's one of the problems with fitness going mainstream. It's like it's good that it's mainstream, but you have to shift your expectations where it's like before, like you get it, where it's like lifting when you started probably what was it back in the early 2000s?
I started driving to the gym in 2003. Yeah, there was like
Yeah,
one girl in the free weights, and that was it.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so that was way different where you'd have like the football players in your high school and like those one or two guys that probably still played another sport in the gym, and that's pretty much all it was. And it was pretty hardcore. I miss those days, even though I was like a little kid at that time. And you get to the 2010s where it's like you're starting to get like fringe
CrossFit brought a lot
influences
in
that
around that time.
yeah, that kind of stuff where it's like it's slowly transitioning more into like a mainstream thing, at least like bodybuilding, powerlifting, or any type of like lifting like that is getting more popular. And now after COVID, it's like it's mainstream. Like every high school kid lifts now. And it's like, okay, well, you can't expect every high school kid to lift and look as good as like the handful of people in the 2000s that went even when nobody else was doing it. Like most of these people are doing it just because it's mainstream now. So it's like it's more of like you're just kind of following the trend, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but you can't expect those people to have the same levels of motivation that the people that were intrinsically motivated in when even when no one else was doing it when. So that's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah, that's very true too. I just think a lot of times those people they don't realize that they aren't actually working hard. You know, they think this is how it's supposed to be. So what about you? Is there any like trends that you are kind of getting annoyed with seeing that you think maybe having a negative impact on lifters the way some of the old ones were having a negative impact on your training?
Yeah, well, I'd say just general cynicism, which I wouldn't necessarily say that's a trend, but I think it's very easy to be cynical. So like the trend you were talking about where people are like, oh, I only look this good. It's like it's the easy way out as a content creator. Like you can appeal to cynicism and there's always going to be people that just want some comfort in their failures rather than actually looking to be better, as cliche and as corny as that might sound. So just kind of going the cynicism route, I'm really not a fan of. I would also say the hyper fixation on stability
Yeah.
is becoming an issue. I'm like, okay, you want an opposing force, but it's like if you're a beginner and you don't even have muscle, it's like stability, like you don't even need to worry about stability yet.
Yeah.
The weight lifted to body weight ratio isn't anywhere close to where it truly matters. Like you should be able to get to intermediate level without really having to focus
It's
on
always the
stability.
skinniest
But
kids obsessed with the stability, right?
always, always. And it's like I will always nerd out about that stuff. Like I'm a total lifting nerd, but it's like that is an extension of just having the drive to lift hard. It's like you want to fix those problems because you're running into issues, not because you're like, oh, that might become an issue. So let me fix it before it even becomes one. I'm not saying there's not a time and place for that, but it's like people get way too fixated on the variables before they focus on training. Same goes for a lot of home gym guys. They obsess over building a home gym, and half the guys that are doing a home gym tour on YouTube don't even look like they lift.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That's something I actually have coming up in one of my videos where I'm talking about some of the most common mistakes from like lever model theory, like traditional biomechanics and the ECM stuff. And it is like you were saying, like stability is important. You need a counterforce, but you also don't necessarily want to stop things from getting involved that maybe should get involved. So it's like I
Mm.
look at like GVS to his triceps, and like you see these little skinny kids, they have their what are they like they cuff themselves to the apparatus now, right? Like they're on the fucking thing, and it's like sometimes isolation doesn't always equal like more growth and more force. Like if you're doing your triceps and you're getting a little protraction, your shoulders are moving, your collarbones are moving, even though you have things moving, you're actually driving more compressive force into the area. So it's like you don't always want to isolate. Same thing with the bench, right? When people don't let any kind of like movement happen, they just try to stay back. They don't let any
Yeah.
kind of sternal movement. Like again, you think the stability is putting more tension on the muscle, but it's taking it away, and it's taking away in range contraction and just force production. So I think that's a really big one. Again, that's something that you can pick out without having to have like an EC in mind. And I always wonder like, is the pendulum going to like swing the other way at some point? Are people going to start doing like way more unstable
Starting to.
stuff? Or I mean, I guess that was back when I first started. I guess people were on the Bosu balls doing that shit, and it swung this way, and now it'll go back eventually. It's kind of funny that I'm old enough now to see that shit doing
Dude,
that.
even I'm old enough for it. And I've only been lifting for 9 years or whatever. So, uh, yeah, I think the pendulum's starting to swing back already. I think the peak is behind us, but it's like the pendulum's just going to swing more and more over time as people are
Does it like
incentivized.
chill and go
Right.
like less dramatic, or does it get more dramatic?
Well, I mean, when social media stops rewarding it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like,
curious about.
until people have incentive to be extreme, until people stop having incentive to be so extreme, I don't see a reason for the pendulum not to swing. The pendulum wants to swing. It's like if there's an incentive to get it up high, then people are going to do it. But yeah, I think it's starting to come back down. You're starting to see a lot of accounts now kind of like calling out people. And it's like, when there's a post that can call out something that people are doing and they're not even explaining the reasons why, they're just kind of making fun of them or talking about them, then it's starting to come back the other way. So I do foresee probably another power building type era, but I think what we can do this time is just make it pure bodybuilding,
Yeah.
hopefully. It's like maybe still kind of strength focused, still kind of heavy lifting focused, but an equal emphasis on all aspects of every lift in a program rather than having that hierarchy of like SBD, accessory, tertiary, or something like that.
So maybe we'll all be doing functional patterns and then some bodybuilding accessory lifts. That'll become the accessory lifts. We'll be doing some just dumbbell chest presses. I like that's the problem is things like that. And I had this conversation with Angus is people like take like functional patterns or some of these movement models or dog crap or the more traditional like progressive overload and they see the value in it, but then they extrapolate that far beyond what it's actually providing, you know. And so
Yeah,
yeah.
no, yeah, I agree.
And I think that's one of the big problems with exercise science as a whole. But I have a question that I was wondering about for you. I think probably most of your lifters, do you have more beginners or more intermediate, would you say,
Like for my viewers or clients.
for your viewers?
I'd say it's a good amount of intermediates. That's kind of like the base of my channel, and that's
Yeah.
what got it to grow. But as the channel grows, yeah, more beginners for sure. It's not. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it's mostly beginners, but it's probably a good mix between the two.
Yeah. You can tell, right, when you start getting different questions and stuff, you're like, Oh, like you're new
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like sometimes people just ask too many fucking questions. Like, like, especially when there's different answers that could be good. I feel like people are afraid to be intuitive for whatever reason, and I think that is something that's really lost. Like, I remember times just sitting on a cable row, and I'm just, how does it feel when I row with a big arch, and I like really squeeze my shoulder blades hard? Like, how does it feel if I'm a little round and I think about just my arms moving? It's like playing with all these little variables. I think that is a really lost art and bodybuilding for these new kids. Do you think
Oh,
that?
oh my God. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's that's what I talked about in briefly in my last video. It was like an hour and a half vlog, so it's like you don't have to watch the whole thing to get
I
that.
watched. Was that the one where you were doing that row machine at one point early on?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
I
one of
watched
the
that
first.
one. Yeah,
Yep.
that was cool. I was catching
Sweet.
up.
Yeah, well, it was like a hybrid vlog and Q&A where I'll answer
Yeah, that was
questions
cool.
from my sets. But one of the questions was, what do you think about the whole Mr. Mike situation? And ultimately, my answer and my advice was basically like, yeah, I mean, it's if it's happening time after time where it's like you have athlete X and then that's the authority and then people get exposed and then it's like, oh well, now we have Renaissance periodization as the number one channel, it's way better, and then all right, well now that's exposed and it's like, okay, well, I think it's a good thing to just not be afraid to use your own instinct and your own intuition. Like that's a really good skill to have because it's like there are no heroes, there are no saviors in the fitness industry. There are people you can learn from, and it's like if you are stuck in power building and that's all you've done, then it's like, of course you're going to learn something new from my channel where I've been through that and learned what works and what doesn't work. And if you're somebody that's never paid attention to the way an exercise feels, it's like, of course they're going to learn something from your channel. But it's like, should they put either of us or like let alone somebody like Doc Mr. Mike that has all these crazy certifications and qualifications? It's like those those qualifications and like putting yourself up and propping yourself up with all other forms of like a sense of authority, like view count and subscriber count, like we need to stop letting those things trick us because it's like when you see that you're like, oh, if that person is so much more knowledgeable than me that my intuition and what I know could never even match what that person would tell me to do, so it's not even worth paying attention to how I feel. But it's like when your reality is shattered and that like golden person that you looked up to is now being exposed as a fraud, it's like that validates so much of you're like, oh, so when he
Dude,
told me that and it didn't feel good and I
I get that
ignored that.
comment every day now. Like,
Yeah.
it all makes sense now. Why I was all fucked up listening to him.
No, but that's exactly it. So it's like when you can start to not be afraid of just listening to yourself, and it's like the more time goes on, I think the more sense of self probably isn't the right way to describe it, but the confidence in the way that you feel about something or your own opinion or instinct on something, the more confident you can be in that. I think you just see that as people age in life too, where it's like they see the politician and then they turn out to be a fraud and it's like they turn out to be a horrible person. It's like then kind of the same thing applies to the fitness industry and it's like, yeah, that authority seems super cool and super smart and then they get exposed and it's like once that cycle repeats enough you're like, okay, I'm a lot smarter than I give myself credit for. I have better instincts and my instincts are better than I give them credit for, and I should probably try and listen to them a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why a lot of these people have been stuck in the intermediate phase forever. These people that do really buy into that is because they were not listening to their own biofeedback. What are some
Mhm.
reasons you think that people kind of stay in the forever intermediate level and don't really get past there?
Well, I think they get stuck in just what's worked for them previously, and they're not self-critical enough to know what's not going well, I would say. So it's like it's very I think it's just human nature to like be really good at something and get used to being good at that and kind of lean into that, and then all of a sudden you're an intermediate and your best lift for whatever reason, whether it's a structure thing or you just happen to get it right or you're just built for it, uh then you can pretty quickly become like the guy with the big chest or the guy with the big bench or the guy with the big squat, and you kind of get wrapped up in your strengths and ignore your weaknesses. And then it's like when you get that sense of like, wow, I can deadlift 600 pounds, and I feel advanced and I feel superior, how am I ever going to admit to myself that my arms or my calves are really small, and why would I ever want to feel like a beginner again? So it's like when you get stuck in that kind of like super high levels of confidence based on the achievements you have, it gets very tough to like actually accept and own up what your weaknesses are and almost go back to the beginner stage for other areas within your own body. So I'd say for bodybuilding, it's kind of a trip when you have to like round out your physique. And I think that's why people get stuck as intermediates.
I think you got to stay humble and stay ready to learn in bodybuilding, right? Like that's a big thing. Are there any mistakes that you think people make when they're trying to break plateaus?
Well, I think people, yeah, people aren't patient enough, and it's like the tough part with plateaus is it's like you get people that they want to progress through them, obviously. And the longer the plateau goes on, the worse their training gets because the more they're trying to just get a plus one or like
Yeah,
add a little bit of weight. When in reality, it's like
exactly.
what one of the quotes that I just always like to go back to, and I don't have it perfectly put into very specific words, but the general gist of what I try and get across to somebody that's stuck in a plateau is like, who do you think is going to be more prepared for adding a plus one? The person that's benched 225 for 10 3 weeks in a row, or the person that's done it 1 week in a row? It's like sometimes it's just okay to repeat the same thing for a couple weeks in a row, master that, and then when that rep is ready, you take it.
Yeah. I mean, like we talked about on the first one, so much of the progressive overload stuff, it really comes to the personality type, right? Like I did DC training, but I kept a stack when I was young. I knew, and so it's like I wasn't getting all fucking wild. So I kind of got a lot of the benefits from it. Like you were saying, a lot of people at a certain point, their shit just starts going so wonky. Like they're probably getting less tension on the muscle than they were with more weight, you know? So yeah, I think that's a really big one. Do you think that like if someone's an intermediate, do you think there's benefits to like changing volume up or down? Is that ever like a lever you pull?
Volume, yeah. So volume is like if someone's on like a moderate to low volume amount and they have the room in their program to add volume and their technique and intensity are in check, then yeah, volume is usually one of the first things I would go for. Um, so yeah, I'm totally fine with upping volume if it's appropriate, which is usually the case with like how I train people. I usually don't start them off high and then go low because then it kind of scares them. It's always better to start off medium to low because then you have the room to go up and it works really well too. Um, but yeah, that's yeah, volume's definitely something I'd mess with as long as everything else is in check. But I'd say a lot of the time it's like there's a difference between good and great and perfect training. And it's kind of funny because to get to the intermediate level, for a lot of people, you don't even need to be great at lifting. You just need to
Not at
be
all.
good.
Yeah.
Because when I look back to my old training clips, I'm like, oh, like how did I even make it to the intermediate stage? Like that is, it felt great at the time at least, but man, it wasn't nearly as intense visually as it felt internally. And that's that huge wake up call as intermediates where you're like, okay, this good enough thing is like you don't even need to be great. You need to be like perfect if you really want to become advanced, especially naturally. It's like it's not easy.
Yeah, obviously from my perspective, I always think that once you're at that level, like biomechanics is a big lever. You know, most people aren't training that good at that point, like you said, and that can clean up a lot of the kind of energy leakages. But are you of the mindset like me and a lot of people where we kind of feel like intermediate is almost like the highest volume capacity because as you start to get like really advanced, then you start to get almost too good at it, and it's like okay, I got to scale that volume down just a little bit. So yeah, that's what I was wondering. A lot of intermediate people, I up their volume, not so much advanced when they plateau. Sometimes depending on what the situation is, but do you kind of believe in those kind of guidelines?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that I feel like everybody that's been lifting for a long time kind of comes to that same conclusion where it is almost like a bell curve as you progress in time. So yeah, with intermediates, like a lot of the time you will be able to tolerate more volume. You're kind of in that sweet spot where you're strong, but not so strong to where you need to reduce the volume, but your
We're so
technique
skilled. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, your technique isn't good enough either to where you're getting so much stimulus and fatigue out of every set. So it's like when you kind of hit that intermediate plateau and you have that like wake up call where you're like, okay, now I really have to start filming my sets. I really have to just like make sure I'm truly training as hard as I need to. Then it's like, okay, you start to feel like, yeah, I cannot tolerate all that much of this training since it is just so precise now and since it is so intense and it's obviously getting heavier each time you're in the gym, whether it's every session or every month or every couple months, it's like the general trend is you're getting stronger over time.
Would you, if you had like a like partner who could be good, would you like a training partner, or would you hate to have a workout buddy?
I'm like 50-50 on it, where I think during my the best my training can possibly be is always going to be by myself. Like when I'm most motivated and when I'm just obsessed with training, I like to be on my own. The problem is you're not always in that
Yeah.
frame of mind. And like I'm
How
definitely not.
often are you there personally for you at that level, that optimum level currently? Because I'm sure it fluctuates.
Yeah, not much lately. I'm at like I'm at like good enough, I would say, but I'm definitely not as high up as I'd want it to be. Like we all know that first year of lifting, like the honeymoon phase where you're just that's all you can think about. Um, I'm not there right now, but I actually think, and I think part of it could actually be like as weird as it might sound at first, like a phone addiction, where I think too much of my attention is going to my phone because I do all of my work on my phone, all my client communication, all that kind of stuff on the phone, responding to comments, checking up on my YouTube videos, all that kind of stuff on my phone. So I'm just like so much more prone to being distracted by it. And I spend way too much time on social media. And that kind of kills your boredom and it kills your drive to do things, let alone something like lifting where it is hard physically and mentally and it can be kind of boring if you're like in this hyper stimulated mindset 24/7.
Yeah.
So I've always used the app focus lock that locks all your apps. So I'll do that when I'm checking it with my clients just so I'm not getting distracted
Oh,
24/7 notifications and just other apps in general. But yeah, I've noticed that in the last week or so, when I've been locking my apps like all day, like until like wake up to 5 p.m., I'm keeping them locked. I've enjoyed every one of those workouts more than anything that I've done in the past few months. So I think I don't think my motivation has gone away. I almost think it's just being suppressed in kind of like a strange way,
yeah, just
which is
distracted.
tough to admit because it's like as a lifter, you want to be like, oh, I'm good at everything. I'm
Yeah,
so much
that's
with
not
my life.
hardcore, bro.
No, it's not. It really is.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm in probably the least like intense phase I've ever been in my working out career, and sometimes it fucks with me. But I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, it's kind of cool to actually have a little time to do something else a little bit here and there, when because shit takes up a lot of time. How many days a week are you working out typically?
Right now it's 5.
5. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And especially like, you plan on having kids and stuff, or do you want kids? I don't know how long
Yeah.
you've been with your girl. Sorry, I don't know if that's
What was that?
I said, or just kids in general. I don't know how long you've been with your girl. I don't know if I should say y'all. I don't know how that goes.
Oh no, no, we're good. We've been together for it will be 6 years coming up. We're engaged and everything. We
Oh,
got
cool.
we have a house together. It's like we're we've been together for a while. Yeah, we're gonna be having kids. It won't be too soon, but it's in the yeah, probably the somewhat ish near future. It's not 10 years from now, but probably not next year, 2 years.
Yeah, man, once you have kids and you're doing this kind of stuff, you just really realize like time management. Like I feel like I was so shitty at time management before. I mean, I'm probably bad at it now, but I was like, fuck, I could have built an empire before I had a kid. It's like,
Well, how often do you train now?
I'm like 3 or 4 days a week right now.
Kind of the sweet spot. Are you doing like full body or like a
I'm kind
upper
of like
limb?
push pull legs,
Yeah.
more or less. I mean, sometimes I'll go through like a shoulders and arms if I make the push a little more chest focused. But yeah, I'm pretty intuitive with it. I'm just trying to like keep it going because I'd like to try to compete maybe like next year. So I don't want to lose too
Mm.
much to where that's not an option. But I'm definitely trying to like for the first time in my life, like since I was like 14, try to find a little bit of balance, I guess, in some other
Yeah.
aspects, which is very weird. I mean, I'm sure you're kind of like that too. I mean, I don't know what else you do hobby wise, but this is like a lot of energy in your brain and everything. It's kind of hard to like step away.
Yeah, well, it's like there's always going to be new hobbies that creep up. So like for me this year, it's been I got really into fishing and I got like a little boat earlier this year and that was super fun. So it's like especially in the summer where the summers are pretty short up here, it's like I want to go out on that thing every day. So it's like I'm gonna wake up, do all my client check-ins, get all my work done as far as that goes, get a quick-ish lift in, and then I'm out on the water. It's like so that's what I was doing for a lot this year,
That's
especially
what
this.
my coach Compton, Justin Compton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's huge, man. That's his thing. Like that's his thing after bodybuilding. After he retired, like fishing became his thing. He goes deep sea fishing out there and stuff. There's a few bodybuilders I know that do that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's fun. I think it's just such a good like complement to bodybuilding way where you're like you're so focused, you're training so hard, and then you're fishing. It's like you're just removed. Like you're just out there, you're chilling. You're the water, I think, is pretty soothing, and then it's just like it's actually something exciting too. And it's like people are gonna say fishing's like this most stupid, boring thing out there, but it's obviously a great skill to have, but it's also exciting because it's like you're waiting for like something to occur versus bodybuilding, which is more as intense as it is, it's very predictable and very steady, I would say. So
Yeah.
to have something a little bit more like exciting and thrilling, I think is kind of a nice compliment to it because I'm very much I typically enjoy those kinds of things. I'm not a very like I definitely have a side of like artistic or something more steady, but I wouldn't say that's my main like personality type. Like I'm definitely more into like faster pace. Like I love hockey, for example. Like that speaks to me a little bit more than like lifting does, generally speaking. But obviously I still like am obsessed with lifting, right?
That's funny. You answered my question. I was going to ask if you do artsy stuff. You got the artsy creative side. A lot of us
Yeah.
don't that are in
Yeah.
this, and that's the
That's funny,
funny
but
thing.
it's like when people talk about bodybuilding as an art, I'm like, no, I don't feel it that way at all with
I'm not
bodybuilding.
that way. There are some people that I feel like are that way, at least with their posing and stuff. But like, if
Yeah.
I
I'm like it that like with the first time I saw a bodybuilding posing routine, especially one with music, I'm like what is this? This doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like why are we doing this? I'm like I get competing on a stage, but this just doesn't speak to me. And it's like I respect the people that do it. It's just not my cup of tea.
I respect you if
Um
you got muscle. I don't respect these little skinny kids doing it in the middle of the gym all the time.
yeah, for TikTok.
Yeah.
Um I would say I actually do have an artistic side though. I put an R in that, right? No. I would say drawing. Like I love sketching.
That's
Definitely
cool.
runs in my family. My great grandmother and that whole side of the family, they used to have like art pieces in museums, like sketches and paintings and all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely something there. My sister's super into it. She's super talented, way better than I could ever be. Um, and I have just like good baseline talent of drawing, but I never do it. But I could definitely see myself getting into it at some point down the road. I think I'll get the itch for it again. It's very meditative.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I wish I had that skill so bad. I can't even like read my own handwriting. I can't draw for shit at all.
My handwriting sucks, but I've heard that's a good thing.
Oh,
I heard
really?
yeah, it either means you're smart or you're creative or
Yeah,
something.
I think yeah, I've heard it means you're smart or like a serial killer. I've heard that one too. This all the serial killers have like
Oh
the
yeah.
worst some
Sorry,
shitty
sorry for bringing that up.
right. Do you have time for a couple questions? You okay?
I do.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we go to those, I was curious. Got the Olympia this week. Do you pay any attention to that? I know you said you don't follow it super closely, but is there anyone that you're looking to see pictures of or anything that you're looking to see how they place? Any thoughts on it at all? You know anything about it?
So this year, not really at all.
Did you see Urs compete in the Open?
No, but I've heard he got huge.
Yeah, I guess he was always huge, man. I don't know how it's crazy. What the crazy thing about Urs doing the Open versus the Classic was his arms like doubled, and like he said, that every time he would cut the Classic, like it would all come from his arms, and it does come from your weaker body part. But yeah, his arms look fucking fantastic as an Open.
So just to catch me up to speed here, who the so I'm just gonna tell you what I know as of now. So it's like as far as like the last time I was paying attention, the top guys were Nick Walker, Big Ramy,
When was the last time you paid attention? Rami's been out a few years.
I know. Yeah, I know he had like a health complication or something, but he won in what, 2020 or 21 or
20,
something.
20 and 21, I believe.
Okay. At least I was right on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's kind of limitations. I know Hadi and that's about it. I know there's Samson.
Well, Derek Hadi won in 22, Derek won in 23,
Yep.
and he won the
Then
Arnold this year.
Samson won last year, right?
Samson won last year. Samson lost the Arnold to Derek Lunsford this year, so that'll be like an interesting matchup at the Olympia. So yeah, so the Olympia, the tops hasn't really changed. You got basically those four guys are like head and shoulders above everybody else: Nick, Samson, Hadi, and Derek. But like after that, it gets kind of like it's going to be a pretty deep Olympia. I'm really interested to see how someone like Urs does, who's got
Mm.
the kind of flowing shape and just crazy presentation. I mean, those classic guys present their physique so much better than the
Oh,
open
yeah.
guys, and that makes a huge difference. So it'll be really cool to see how he looks because when I first started watching bodybuilding, I guess this was like the mid '90s. Like I loved like Sean Ray's physique. I thought he was awesome and Flex Wheeler. But I mean, you had the guys. You had like Marcus Rule. You had these fucking monsters of people. And I mean, Ronnie got pretty blown out with his waist. I mean, Jay was always criticized for being like a refrigerator back in the day when he was competing. Like now, like pretty much all the top guys, minus Nick, have like wild aesthetics and like good waist, and they can like pull vacuums and shit. It's quite a change over the last few years. So I think it's going to start appealing a little bit more. Do you follow the classic at all?
No, I really don't follow any of it anymore. But classic does interest me a little bit more, but obviously just the freak factor of open is always super interesting. So just out of curiosity, like who are you picking to win
You know,
open?
I'm kind of I think Samson's going to win. He looked really lean at a guest pose, and he just did. And that's really the only thing that he loses on is conditioning because he's got more size than anyone. He's about equal to Nick. I mean, maybe Nick outsizes him on a couple things, but he's got the better shape than anyone in the top. And he's just big. I mean, Samson's a 6 foot fucking tall dude. He's 300 pounds on stage.
Super
So
wide.
yeah, if he comes in condition, I think he'll win. I got Derek in second, Nick in third, and I think Hadi will turn fourth just because he's got a little like asymmetries going on. He seems to be breaking down. I watch him train, man. He trains fucking wild. This dude will be doing like I saw him doing like I think it was like a Smith squat with like 7 plates, dropping like every like 2 or 3 reps. They take off a plate, and he's fucking working his way down, like burning out like a week of the show.
Huh.
It's pretty
It's a
wild.
little more intense than what you typically see. Like I remember seeing like the first time I saw like a peak week training from like what the top guys are doing. I think it was Phil Heath's leg workout. Must have been back in like 2015, 16, 17, where it's like he was doing ham curls, like a standing bent over ham curls unilateral with like 15 reps in the tank. I'm like, "Oh, what is this?"
Yeah. Yeah,
Not what
it's
I would expect from the top guy, but
It's funny because they're both with Hani, and Hani, he lets Hadi do his style and just kind of I feel like he tries to like put the governor on him a little bit. But yeah, he ran the show with Phil. What about Keon? Have you seen any of his stuff? I know you were a fan of him.
yeah, he's got one of the best physiques out there. I mean, that guy looks insane. What does he look like now? I'd assume he's pretty big, huh?
Yeah, he's wild. I'm gonna put it up real quick. So he's gonna do a an open show after the Olympia, which will be pretty crazy. It'll be cool to see him on stage with everybody.
So is he classic?
He's in the 212. He did classic
Oh,
originally.
I forgot about 212 entirely. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean, people
very
would
rusty.
people would if he wasn't so great. I mean, that's kind of how it is with the 212. There's always like one person who elevates it and make like, it was Flex before, like people really watched it for him. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, Keon is that guy. Keon's the best 212 ever right now. I think he beats anyone who's ever existed that weighs that much. Check this out. This is fucking ridiculous. Let me see
Well,
if I
he'd
can.
probably win the Olympia, like open.
I mean, Samson's he can't stand next to Samson, I don't think. And potentially, are you able to see this?
Yeah.
Look at that fucking shit. This is insane. So I expect if he were to do the Open, I would put him in there with those top four guys. I don't think he could quite overcome some of the. That's just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. The only knock on Keon that I have, and it was even in his classic days, it wasn't even like something that happened as he started like gaining a lot of size, was he just doesn't have the best abdominals, He's got kind of like that split in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
But fuck, I mean, he pulls a vacuum most of the time, but the kind of details he gets is just wacky. I mean, he's gotten so much better. Like I remember a long time ago, a couple, I think 4 years ago, before he won, I made a shitty comment on one of his things, just fucking with him. I've met Keon a couple times. I met him in Dallas. I'm sure he didn't remember me, but I was like, they posted a picture of him in the offseason. I was like, man, he looks good. This is his normal stage condition. And then like he made a comment. He's like, I'd beat you on stage with this condition. I was like, yeah, you would. Like, but then that year was the year he won, and he kind of like got his shit together. And it's kind of cool to see because you can see he struggled mentally, and to see like that switch turn, and a lot of it was due to his coach. Sometimes it just takes someone putting pressure and expectations on you, to get it out of you. Now he's like got that mindset. He's not going to be fucking touched. So he's going to walk through it and win this year, and he'll probably win one more. But then he said he'd go to Open. It'll be really interesting. They're going to do Prague, which that's the show that Bumstead did last year. Remember after the Olympia,
Vaguely.
he did an open show and he got second. So Keon's going to jump into that same open show. So that'll be really cool. One thing that I'm curious about. Have you heard this? What is it like not wellness of the fat asses, like the fit model division? Have you seen that?
I don't think so. There's too many to keep track of.
Yeah,
There's so
what
many.
what are your thoughts on this? It's kind of like it's supposed to be a smaller bikini. So it's like girls who look okay, who maybe have worked out for like 6 months, essentially, and they're gonna be like at the Olympia. It's like kind of like a weird thing. They're trying to like make it like an every man kind of thing, but it's like I don't know. I think the Olympia is supposed to be elite. These are people that basically they're just beginners. You could achieve that body in 6 months with serious training. You haven't seen any of these girls?
No, I just don't see how that can be bodybuilding. So I'm like, it's to me that sounds more like a pageant or something, which is fine. But I'm like, why is that their way of like reaching out to more like normal people?
I think they want to try to get natural girls. Although I think you could potentially, I don't know if you could do Olympia bikini natural. So I think without saying it, they're trying to keep these girls natural, but even natural girls could put on more muscle than that. I think they're trying to make it like appeal to the every person, which that'll be
Yeah, that's
fine for like the NPC level, but these people are gonna be at the Olympia next year. I'm like, there's gonna be way better looking people in the stands, you know?
like maybe that's a way of like making everyone else look even crazier in contrast while also being able to appeal to people that normally would be like, what is this? Like, what am I watching? These guys are freaks. Versus like, oh, you see them, oh, they look great. And then like someone 10 times more jacked comes on stage, you're like, whoa, like what on earth? Like that is crazy.
It's
So
funny because
I
they don't have like an equivalent for the guys. If you look at the physique guys, they're fucking natty. I mean, not natty. They're fucking wild looking. They don't. None of them could be natty at all. They're
yeah.
wacky looking. Like they've got some crazy proportions. Like, and then you got the fit model girl who I see those girls just walking down the street here in Newport Beach all day.
Yeah. I think the only way for natural bodybuilding to have some type of bigger following, in my opinion, would be if the body fat standards and the leanness standards were kept in more check. So it's like if you were to have them say like if there's a better way to measure body fat overall, if there's like a 10% body fat limit, 11 or 12% body fat limit, I think that's when people look best in that kind of like 12 to 14 range. And it's like, yeah, on stage, someone that's leaner is gonna like your eyes are gonna be drawn to them more. But if we're just talking about aesthetics, I think when guys are natty, I think they look a lot better at that like lean but not shredded states. Like when you see naturals hop on stage, it's like even the biggest guys that are tanks in real life, like delts popping through their shirt. You can see the trap definition even through like a baggy shirt. You're like, okay, this guy's massive. It's like when you put them down to 6%, it's like they kind of shrivel up. And it's
Yeah.
like not to disrespect natural bodybuilders because those top guys are massive when they're just like at a healthy body fat level, but I think it kills the physique naturally.
That's interesting. I never thought about that, but yeah, that's really true. And they look more detailed even at a little bit higher body fats. Like they could be like one of them at like 6 or 7 or 8 even looks leaner than somebody who's on a bunch of gear at 6 or 7 or 8. I don't know if it's just the
Yeah.
inflammation
Oh,
or
yeah.
what.
I know. I agree. You way more separation, and you just look leaner as a natural for whatever reason. I'm not going to understand exactly why that's the case, but um, I think they're going to look better, not quite
Yeah.
as lean too. Like when I looked my best, if we're just talking like posing, shirt off, and everything, it's like 13% body fat. Like I wasn't even that huge, but you look great when you're that level, and you feel good too. And it's like you still have your shape. Where it's like you look at a lot of natty guys, and it's like when you get down to 6% and you're posing and there's a gap between your adductors and
Yeah.
like your lats shrivel up and your rib cage looks way bigger than any muscle you have. It's like, okay, that's probably a sign that you're just getting too lean. Like you're just shriveling up, you're shrinking down way too much. So I would love to see a natural division where it's like a genuine classic physique, like a 60s to 70s, get down to 10%, 12%, and just you look great.
Yeah, or you could check hydration levels. I wonder if that's something they could do too. Let's go through a couple of these
Could
little
be.
questions real fast before I let you go. Did you have a little injury? What did you substitute for preacher curls when you had forearm pain?
Yeah. So I have had forearm splints a couple of times. I've noticed that since I've cycled through getting that discomfort quite a bit, uh, they no longer show up. And I think once you kind of deal with it a couple of times, then you don't have to worry about it and it kind of just kind of goes away forever. But to get through it, typically what I would do is take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks away from preachers. And this will allow you to basically just let the forearm and the muscle within your forearms kind of freshen up a little. What I would typically do is just something that gives you more freedom at the wrist and something that's not as locked in. So, like a dumbbell or a single arm cable variation of a curl works really well. Something where you can just move your elbow and wrist around kind of as you need to works great. So typically I would take 2 weeks, see how things are feeling. It can't hurt to play it safe and take maybe one more week than you need to away from preachers, but typically that works totally fine. You can keep volume and intensity the same, and typically you'll be able to find some type of curl variation that feels fine on your forearms, but it might take a little playing around with. So could be an alternating dumbbell curl, could be a single arm cable curl, maybe a Bayesian curl or something. And if none of that's feeling good supinated, you could always try hammer curls or something like that to at least get some type of volume in as like a short-term solution. And then usually after 2, 3, or 4 weeks, you'll be able to kind of revisit preacher curls.
Mm. Where you're someone's asking when the road to 19 inches. That's hard as an Addy. Where are you at now? You
Wow.
still have you gained any in the last year? It's pretty hard to move
No,
past 18.
no, it's dude, even maintaining 18 is
Yeah.
miserable because you have to maintain that body weight too.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm happy with where they are now. They're 17 and a half and I'm in the mid 180s. So I've lost 20 pounds and they've only lost half an inch. So that's good. Um,
That's really good.
road to 19 inches. I don't know. I used to think I would do it someday, but I don't know if I have the desire to go on a gigabulk like
I
that
don't think
again.
that's happening unless you're like you said, unless you're fucking heavy.
Yeah, like I'd really, really have to. Basically, what I'd have to do is like I'd have to max out as much size as I possibly could, get as jacked as I possibly could, and then from there, I would have to just then bulk even further, and a lot of that it would probably be like a 90 to 10 fat to muscle ratio
Yeah.
bulk. So I'm not saying it's impossible. It would be very, very tough though, that's for sure.
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild. This is I don't know a ton of what Paul Carter says. What does Paul Carter and Beardsley get right and what do they get wrong? Do you have any opinions on that?
I don't follow Beardsley all that much. I would
I think he's
say
the one that influences all of Carter shit though, right? So
yes. Yep. Yeah. So Chris Beardley, he does all the research. I don't even know if he lifts. I know GBS has said something before about him not even lifting. I've never seen his physique or I've never seen a video of him lift. So I always suspected the same. But if he does lift, then I'll gladly retract my statement on that. He does a lot of research though. I don't follow it all that closely just because I really don't care that much about most research. Like
yeah.
it's at a certain point you realize it's not going to really help you at all. So like if someone has a question about it, I'll look into it and whatnot. But I'd say, yeah, as far as like Paul Carter and Beardsley go, what they get right is for Paul Carter, I love his take on straight sets. I think he's correct about that. So I'll give him props there. Uh, a lot of people get super fixated on partials, drop sets, rest pause, clusters, you name it, mile reps. Those are all kind of the same, at least at the end there. And they miss the straight set. So it's like I'll notice people doing if their mindset going into a lift is I'm going to do a straight set to failure and then do partials, their failure happens either a little sooner than it should, or they don't grind as much as they could in that final rep, and they just go from like a challenging-ish set right into partials, rather than saying, okay, first I have to get to zero RAR or failure, and then the partials are involuntary, and then I have to max the effort in the partials. And I think the vast majority of people for the vast majority of lifts just straight set to zero RIR, totally fine. That works totally fine. There's cases where partials or clusters or whatever can help or at least work. But I think it's more of a distraction than anything. And I think just focusing on your straight sets and your progression within those is the move for most people in most cases. And it's like myself included, I train that way. I don't know about you, but
I tend to do, you know what, for whatever reason on shoulders, I'm always real big on like just going to length and partials at failure and stuff, but I'm pretty much straight sets. Like I don't have anything set. I mean, a lot of times with arms, I'll do cluster sets and shit, but it's just because like, I mean, I'm resting like 30 seconds after I get to failure. Like I'm not, I don't think anything is specifically awesome or specifically bad in regards to that. I do think some people that, and like don't really understand their proximity to failure who like start getting all fucking wonky. Maybe those kind of
Mhm.
people could benefit more from cluster sets that kind of lose their their integrity of everything else. Like maybe they can benefit from it more than other people. But I tend to do more straight sets usually. Um,
Yes.
Atlas had a question. We kind of talked about Kelso shrugs. He was asking about Kelso shrugs versus power shrugs. Do you do power shrugs at all, or did you at one point?
Yeah, I really like both of them. So this was from Atlas, you said?
Yeah,
Yeah, power shrugs. I figured that was his question.
yeah,
So I really like both, and I think they can complement each other nicely. So when you look at a power shrug, it is just you are using that leg drive to get that super challenging contraction. Because let's say if you're going through a full range of motion in a shrug variation, it's like obviously like you've done shrugs before, you get it where it's like you can probably lift like 300 pounds for a few reps, say from the bottom to halfway up. And then to go from the halfway up point to the full contraction, you can probably lift like 75 pounds. So
yeah,
it's like it's this wonky kind of strength curve where in the short position, you're just going to be very weak, kind of just based on your how strong the muscle is in that position. So power shrug, I love that for people that are listening. That's a great movement to kind of even that out, where you can make it challenging at the bottom, but also a little bit easier at the top. So you can kind of get a good amount of challenge through the whole range of motion, which is cool. The downside to power shrugs is it's very hard to standardize the range of motion. So with these, it's like you can be adding weight, but if you're losing like half a centimeter on your range of motion, how are you going to be able to tell? It's
Yeah.
not a very standardized lift. So it gets tricky. It also gets tricky because you can't really see your scaps as you're lifting. So it's easy to just kind of turn it from a lighter, more appropriate weight power stroke where you're getting all the way up and you're getting the full range of motion. And then eventually it just becomes kind of like a little bit of elevation just with the scaps and your shoulders are more or less staying in place. So it's like it gets a little bit tricky to assess progression there. So a Kelso shrug, and I'm not directly a huge fan of Kelsos like we talked about earlier in the traditional horizontal sense. Those have always felt super weird to me. But if we're talking like an incline shrug where you're not shrugging directly up or back, but it's like that diagonal in between for the mid and upper traps, that complements it really well because it keeps you training that short position maximally. And it also just keeps you familiar with what that feels like. So you don't fall into just elevating on your scap. So it almost gives you like a really good connection to the traps. And
Yeah.
it that I think that skill translates over to other
Yeah.
more cheaty style power shrugs.
So too. We just kind of talked about it a little bit. Are lengthened partials vaulted? So I'm so fucking old. I don't even know what vaulted means. Is that good or bad? Like, what does vaulted mean, and what does no cap and bet? I don't know what any of those things mean. I see those all the time. What is vaulted bad? Vaulted means it's gone, right? You put it away.
Vaulted means it's gone.
Okay.
Yep, it's vaulted. You put it in the vault and you're not opening it.
What does no cap mean?
No cap means you're not wearing a hat, I think. No, no cap means you're it means you're not lying.
And
I'm like in that weird age where I'm like I'm Gen Z, but I'm an older Gen Z. So it's like I kind of know these words, but I'm not gonna use them or else I just sound weird.
that's funny. And bet is like right on or something.
That is like I agree, like we'll
Okay.
we'll do that. So if you're like wanna do a podcast at 2:30, I'd be like, bet. Like, yeah, we're
I would
doing
be
that.
so confused if you responded to that. I'd be like, so should I send you the invite or how does this work? So you were just saying you're not the biggest fan on LinkedIn parcels, right? But there are some cases you use them or no?
Yeah, there are some cases I use them, but I think they're definitely like if we're talking about like majoring in the minors, I think length and partials is like a very good example of that. Or that's probably a trend that's better to be passed, even though it does have its utility. I wouldn't fault them. So
Yeah.
with length and partials, I think a lot of the time when you get to zero RIR and you have a stable lift that's generally more length and biased, you don't really need you kind of can't do length and partials when once you get to zero RER. Like
Yeah.
you're trying to tell me, say you're doing a flat Smith bench and you get to your final possible rep you can do. Do you really still have like the force output and the strength to do anything after that? Like I'm totally cooked. So on anything that's length and biased, like I just it that portion of the movement's already fully trained. Like I could probably eke out a couple shortened partials, but length and stuff gets tricky because I think the majority of the lifts that people should be doing, like kind of those basic principles, like I talked about earlier, um, those principles and when you follow those and each lift in your program is generally more length and bias with a complete lockout, you don't need the partials since the benefit of them is already covered within the straight set. But if you're doing something that's more short biased where you're fatiguing because or you're failing the set or failing a rep because you can't get in the short position, then I think it has some utility. So an example I'd use for this is like a lot of the time I like to do strict hammer curls. So I'll just stand right next to the cable post. I'll set the cable low, put a cuff on it, grab the cuff, brace my elbow up against the post, and I'll curl up. So the toughest point in the range of motion is going to be kind of this top portion here where you still got a big moment arm and the muscles in a short position, so you're going to be a little bit weaker. When you fail on those, you still have a legit effort and some legit stimulus you can milk out of that length and position since it's just not as challenging down there. So in a case like that, doing 1 to 3, typically like max effort, involuntary length and partials, I think it works great. But I'd say that's probably 5 to 10% of the lifts in the program rather than like a regular occurrence, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there was a time, right, where everyone was just loading up and just doing only length and partials, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was a fad. Yeah, that
Was that,
was
was that a
last
study
year,
that got
2 years.
debunked now, or what? People just basing the shit off of shitty studies, or what was the cause of that?
Well, I think they found that I'm not fresh enough with the science, but if I remember correctly, they found that length and partials give you equal growth, so you can get equal growth and do less, or it said you might be able to get a little bit more growth, but it was like
Oh, I
borderline.
think that was the one that came out, right? The one that came out said it's not going to give you better, it could give you equal. But wasn't there
Yeah.
something they were basing off of earlier that made them think they were going to get better? I think there was another
Yeah.
one before that.
Yeah. I think now that you say it, I think there was one that said they noticed like slightly better gains in
Yeah,
length and partial groups, but it wasn't,
yeah, it
when
was.
we actually looked at the data, it was like hardly
Yeah,
significant. It's like well within the room for error on an exercise science study, I'd say.
yeah. That's one of those extrapolations that are kind of like ridiculous. See if there's anything else good before I let you go. Let's see. Let's finish with. We answered a lot of these. I started listening to Steve Hall. I had him on the podcast, and he
Yeah.
said he doesn't take questions from people usually because they usually kind of basically said they suck at questions. That's definitely the case. I'd say some of these questions blow, and then the other ones we covered really really well. So let's finish with this one. This is something that we haven't touched on. Um, okay, it's kind of a biomechanics thing. I don't want to ask that. That one seems dumb. Okay, hold up. Where'd the one go? Okay, so maybe you can offer some insight on this. I was going to skip this, but I think maybe you actually have some good thoughts on it. So we keep talking about failure. So the question is, how do I go to or near failure on the first set without like unknowingly sandbagging?
Um, I would say one of the best mental incentives you can give yourself is to base your progression scheme off of your first set, and that makes it so you're not focusing on like your performance on your third set relative to your first. So it's like if you're doing something like, let's say you're doing bench press and your range is 6 to 10. If your progression scheme is once your first set hits 10 reps, then you go up in weight, then you're focused on the first set. And then as long as you're not like just obnoxiously aiming for reps that you know you're not going to get, then you're maximizing your first set. And then second set, still very potent. The third set, it's gravy. I mean, if you lose a few reps off of that, then cool, you kind of confirm that you got all you needed out of the first couple, but it's still going to get you some stimulus. So I'd say focus on that if you're following a static progression scheme where you just want to go like once all three sets hit 10, or even like once my third set hits this rep count, then I'll add weight. Then you're going to start having those incentives to like, hey, I got 10 on my first set. I'll kind of leave it at that and save energy for the subsequent stuff. So yeah, I'd say focus on that, but also don't don't train like you don't have subsequent sets to do. So it's like still go all out, but if you don't think you're going to get that next rep, don't go for it. If you're on the fence about being able to get it, you can try it, especially if you've been stuck at the same rep count for 1, 2, 3 weeks. Then it's like you got to take your +1 at some point. But if you're generally progressing well and you're not sure if you're going to get it, you don't have to go for it. See if you can have a +1 on the subsequent sets. And even if that final rep felt easier this week than last week, then that's a progression in itself, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a hard question, right? That's like a difficult thing to like think about because that's going to be pretty intrinsic. Some people are able to like to feel that and grind it out comfortably, but a lot of people don't even know what hard really is. So I think that's a good setup for that. I don't know. I don't know what I would say. I remember when I used to do like 5x5, like we would find our lifts, our maxes before we started. Like that, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily something that people should do, but that's kind of like how we used to like schedule our failure points was based off of what we do. But for isolation lifts, I think at some point it is good to go to failure and like beyond just once or twice to see what it actually is, see
Then
how
you have a
long.
reference. Yeah,
Yeah,
then you
exactly, exactly. So like see what it feels like to where you're getting fucking right when you get wonky. Like let one fucking rep get all wonky. Like, okay, I went past it. Like that's the one. You kind of have a reference point for there. But yeah, that and then sometimes you just gotta get in the right headset. Like watch some fucking hardcore training. Watch some old school Dorian, watch some GVS, and like you'll be surprised how all of a sudden now like your threshold for pain and for pushing has actually increased a lot. Like so much of that is mental, especially with more isolation lifts.
Yeah, well, dude, people the biggest mistake that I see, it's like it's hard to see, but you can kind of see it when you have a trained eye. Like you've been training people forever, you've watched fitness stuff forever, you've been involved in it for a long time. It's like you can tell when somebody switches the flip. Or no,
Flip the
I
switch.
said this on another podcast. Flips the switch. I can never get that one right. It's like the weirdest tongue twister for me. when they flipped the switch, I was like, wait, something doesn't sound
You caught it. You're like,
right. Yeah, you're like, wait, what did he say?
I'm
When
dyslexic with
they
my words. I do it all the time on my videos that I end up redoing.
I think I'm usually good, but I have made that same mistake twice. I did just a little side story. I did a podcast with Dave McConey from Brains and Gains, and I'm pretty sure I did that on his podcast too. I'm like, for whatever reason, it's just like a phrase that I should stop saying. It just doesn't click with my brain. But basically, there's people that turn on like a different mode when they step into the gym, and they are locked in, and they are just so prepared to get outside of their comfort zone. And then there's some people where it's like the like general kind of like mindset and physical state of being that they stay at, that kind of readiness state is like equal, whether they're at work, at home, at the gym. And it's like that's how you slip into just going through the motions. And until you have that point where you are just like pushed well beyond your comfort zone, you're just there's a difference between just like casually training really hard and then like I'm going to train as hard as I possibly can and get outside of my comfort zone. And it's like as corny as it is, that quote, get comfortable getting uncomfortable. That's what helped me when I was like 18 or 17 getting into the gym. Like that mantra is just it's so valuable to people. And I think there's also a situation where um people are generally, I would say, and not to be like pessimistic or like say like, oh, we have to go back to the olden days or anything, but I think people these days are softer than they were years ago. Like, am I crazy for saying
No,
that?
for sure.
Okay. Okay.
I
Good.
grew up in
Good.
the
I don't
80s and
want I don't
90s
want
with He-Man and jacked fucking action figures everywhere.
to
Girls had their titties out. Like, no, it's definitely changed.
yeah, I was gonna say because like I kind of caught the end of that generation when I was a kid. Like my dad's generation is like they're a whole different level of guys than like our generation. So it's like there's a lot of people that I think are missing out on that. And if we're going to talk about like a practical example that I think everybody needed to go through if you really wanted like a look into what it takes to truly train hard, like sure, watching like the top guys train on YouTube, it's helpful 100%. It really will help a lot of people. But if you've never been in like a football locker room or like a football gym session, like the varsity team when you're in high school, and like the biggest kid on the team is going for like a 6 pound squat, and you've never been in that atmosphere, like you just aren't being exposed to what's possible from a human. And that just like being in the commercial gym where there's like some other people that are just going through the routine, like reading a book between sets, like on TikTok between sets. I'm like, it's just it's so different. It's like it's you almost can't blame people for not having that level of intensity when they've never been exposed to it because it's very hard to be somebody that brings that yourself. It's like once you see what people are capable of, then you're like, oh, like I know what I can do. And I think that's one of the benefits I had was I was a hockey player and I saw people train super intense. And I had been in the gym when the football team was in there and I had seen what happens. And I'm like, oh, like that is like, I didn't think that level of energy and intensity was even capable from a human. But now that I know it is, like, I think that's why I did well as a beginner.
And some people can just pull that adrenaline too, way more like easily, naturally. That's something I used to be able to do. I feel like I could like give myself an extra 10%. I don't know why I've kind of lost that at least a little bit, but some of that's just natural. But like you said, if it's not, you gotta train it in there somewhere. Like I think getting comfortable, being uncomfortable is a great quote. And I think sometimes too, like just get comfortable in pain. Like maybe hold isometrics, do other things that just get your body used to feeling like the buildup and accumulation of like of tension. Like get your body used to feeling the suck.
Yeah, yeah, just get comfortable sitting in it. It's like one thing I'll say sometimes to people just to like get them to understand why you should train hard. It's like it sounds so simple, but it's like you're telling me you're gonna like pay for a gym membership, wake up in the morning, shower, get your gym clothes, go all the way to the gym, warm up, load the weight on the bar, do your set, and then stop 2 reps shy of like what you need to do. Like you're gonna do all that and then stop. Like you can't make it through the 8 seconds of grindy reps to finish your set and get the stimulus. It's like I think that helps put it in perspective sometimes how important it is.
Yeah, especially if you're like on a machine, like on a plate loaded incline press, like it's not that hardcore to go to failure on that. It's not like you're pulling from the floor doing, heavy dead. So,
No, but that's why I think there's some value even in things that like be one of the questions that I put in my questionnaire for new clients is like, have you played any sports? Are you a current or former athlete? It's like it's not even so much the physical advantage. Like people make the case that, oh, well, the people that play sports are the people that are like they have better genetics, so they did better, and it's like this feedback loop where they're going to be more likely to stick with it. But I would say, while that's not necessarily not true, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are exposed to just a lot of physical pain because when you're an athlete and you're in a game and you have pressure from your team to like continue pushing on your shift when you're already out of breath and your whole body's burning and you can hardly breathe, it's like, okay, well then the hammer strength incline press, like you said, like that's doable. Like that's not too far in your physical comfort zone. So, um, yeah, I think that I just think always there's always more potential to train harder. And I think there's even like exercises like a farmer's carry or like a trap bar deadlift or like sprints or like a heavy sled push for like a certain distance. Like those aren't going to directly build you muscle. Like, yeah, maybe a little bit here and there for like certain unique areas, but uh that kind of stuff will it will get you like so much time under discomfort,
Yeah.
I would say. And like that will kind of teach you like, okay, I can push a little bit harder on what I'm doing as far as hypertrophy goes.
That's like, do you follow Alec Blennis? Do you know him?
No, but I'm aware of him.
Yeah,
I
like that's
briefly looked into his stuff one time. I think I saw you did a podcast or two with him, but that stuff, it's interesting to me.
yeah, Alec is that was a great podcast. He's one of the best speakers. I mean, it was honestly one of my favorites. But yeah, like someone like him who like does ultra marathons and just beats the fuck. He sprints. He does the craziest things. Like yeah, going in and cranking out a set on the pendulum squat. You see him do this crazy shit. Like that's easy compared to running 100 fucking miles in the pain and mental fortitude that day. I ain't doing that. I'm not a hybrid person, but
Oh
yeah,
no, neither am I. I'm like, yeah, maximalist in the gym, minimalist with like cardio and diet. Like
yeah.
I'll do the minimum I need to get me 80% of the results. And it's like, yeah, I'm not running an ultra marathon.
No, not at all. But that plays into it. I wonder. I've been doing the ice bath recently. I wonder if that will even have some kind of carryover, just with the kind of like the dealing with the suck kind of thing, fight or flight
Yeah,
response.
no, I think there's truth to it because it's like you even if there's not like a direct tangible benefit from it, like don't you think that if you're doing the ice bath daily, it's like your body and not even your body, your brain is anticipating a certain level of discomfort. So it's like you're almost prepared for it.
Yeah.
That's probably going to translate into the gym, right? Like, what do you think?
It's supposed to, I mean, it's supposed to have like stress resilience and help you with your fight or flight response, being able to like, like keep it under check or potentially like call on it when you need to. But yeah, I think it helps. It definitely helps. Like I feel like it's just chilled me in other situations, at least on the road. I don't get road rage that much at all anymore. There's a lot of stupid drivers around me with fast cars, but fuck man, I appreciate it. This has been a long one. I thank you for the time, man.
Likewise.
Are you working on anything right now? You got any apps, any programs, anything you're putting out?
Yeah, so I am working on an app that will be released soon. More info on that later. I have limited information to release right now. I usually release programs a couple times a year, so I'm sure one of those will be out soon. New series is coming out now too, so I'm 2 episodes into the full body every day, 5 times a week. Pretty interesting series that will be who knows how long
You
because
record
it's
every workout?
not every workout, but once a week is the plan. So
Okay.
I'm 2 sessions into it now, and I have no idea how long it will last because I don't know how long I will last
Yeah.
doing that. Whether it's my base goal is 2 months, and if it's going well and I'm making good gains, then it will be much longer. But if I'm like having shoulder, knee, hip soreness and pain 8 weeks in, I'm probably gonna call it quits, and at least I learned something.
What are you doing with your split for that? Like how you setting it
It's
up?
full body 5 times a week.
Oh, full
So
body 5 times. Okay, so okay, so you're doing that all in one session.
yeah, yeah. So it's basically like it's not like literally full body. It's not like front delts, side delts, rear
Yeah.
delts. It's like there's going to be a pressing pattern for my pecs. There's going to be something for my delts, something for my traps slash lats at least, whether it's directly for one or just kind of a mix, like a general row or something. It's going to be some type of bicep, some type of tricep, and then something for the legs. And then I'm doing calves every day too.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be cool. I'll watch that. I'm excited to see how that turns out. My Hormozy, he worked out in my gym a few times. He's full body every day, and he's pretty jacked,
So
I know
yeah.
well, I think Reeves did it every other day. That used to be the old school program, right? Just full body like every other day at least.
Every other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just had I'm too curious to see what happens because I've never trained the same muscle on back-to-back days. So I'm like scientifically and just logically it makes sense that you need the 48 hours of rest to be able to grow optimally, but I'm like if I'm doing 3 sets for a muscle group, am I really not going to make better progress? Maybe doing that a little bit more often. I'm like, of course, there's going to be limitations too. So it's like the exercise selection, the joints involved, the technique and intensity I use. It's like, yeah, that could hold me back. But it's like if I'm lifting and I'm keeping things pretty strict as far as technique goes, very little cheat, generally getting more out of less weight. I have a feeling I'll be just fine. And it's like, even if the gains are equal, then I think that says a lot that,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can train the same muscle back to back days if needed. It just opens a lot of doors as far as programming goes.
It would be cool to see for someone who's more advanced, right? Because obviously it can work for a beginner. They
Yeah.
can do full. I don't know, 5 days a week for a beginner though, but like full body programs. I did a program that was a really intense month long program, and sometimes it would have back to back days of the workouts. And the way that was usually scheduled is if it was back to back, the day before would be like a meat and potatoes kind of workout. There's three
Yeah.
workouts. It wouldn't be the insane one, but if I worked out the same body part the next day, it'd obviously be a little lower volume, and it would be with like, less like lengthened tension on it, a little less like micro tears, stuff like that. It was kind of take away the negative to a certain extent if that was possible with the movement. So yeah, I'm sure you can program it. You're smart, dude. I'm sure you'll get some cool results. It'll be interesting to see.
I'm just curious. I'm like, this is always if there's I was basically like, what's like the most strongly held belief in the fitness industry that literally nobody questions? I think it's that. It's the rest day between training the same muscle back to back. So I was like, my curiosity is getting the best of me. The science is like, it's so faulty that like,
Yeah.
why am I going to believe this? Even if historically it's been generally true that people like that 48 hour, 72-hour rest period. I'm like, I just have to see for myself. I just
Rich
I
Piana, Rich Piana had the feeder workouts the day after. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, yeah, where you do the skull crushers and what was it, hammer
I
curls
can't remember. Yeah,
before?
just lighter, heavier, not lighter, just lighter, a little more reps, and yeah, just pump
Yeah.
blood flow. So it'll be cool. Maybe
I
you'll be looking like Rich.
I did try that once. I did it for like
Yeah.
2 days. I quit. I
He
mean,
trained
that
me. I told you I
uh,
ever tell you I worked out with him one day. He did my shoulders one day. He
no, that's
he
awesome.
yeah, he was an independent trainer at my gym in West Hollywood, and he had a little client break, and he put me through like a 40-minute shoulder workout, just fucking stupid. Like I just did railroads with with
Yeah.
like dumbbells on laterals up to like 60s when I couldn't move 60s at all. But yeah, I couldn't even wash my hair after the workout. But
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, that's how I feel after doing hammer curls. That's funny though. Um, it's crazy. He's been gone for so long now. I still remember that day when he passed away back in yeah, August of 2017, I want to say.
damn, that was a long time ago. I remember when he first started doing it. It's crazy how, like I said, I know Hormozy. I was around Rich. I had Brad Martin used to work for me. I had to fire him. It's crazy how I've had all these interactions with all these big social media people, and I'm very not big on. I don't give a shit about social media at all.
Oh, well, you're in the area where all those guys live. So it's like if you know what you're doing and you're involved in the space, you're gonna come across them. So that's cool though to be able to like meet those guys and everything because it's like as much shit as Bradley Martin might get for some things, it's like it's still cool. He's still a cool guy, I'd say, even if he's not perfect.
Yeah, we were homies. I didn't want to fire him. He just, he wasn't a good employee. And then
Oh, it's
the best was seeing Arnold when I met Arnold at the Venice Golds. I'd seen him quite a few times. I used to go on Sundays, and I never wanted to bother him. And then I was working out on the of all machines, the hoist pull down. Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, where like lifts you up or kind of
Yeah,
tilts you.
yeah. I'm working
Yeah.
on that, and he comes over and asks to work in with me, and I'm like, I'm like, no, fuck off, Arnold. I'm like, sure, bro. Let's share butt sweat. This is my dream.
That's hilarious. That's a good story for like the grandkids someday too. That's so funny because I mean he's just a legend. Like that's unreal.
Yeah, that was the only time I've been like feeling something when I met somebody. I've met a lot of like celebrities and fitness people. I was like geeked out for that, obviously.
Yeah, well, there's something about somebody that was like a legend today and a legend before and in all the movies that you watched growing up. It's like that's just like a different level of
Yeah, for my age, obviously that's such a huge shaping on us
oh
than
yeah.
the manliness of the 80s movies. But fuck man, this has been awesome. I appreciate your stash is looking awesome. You can keep growing that out or what? You're
I'm
like Mike
probably gonna
Mincer.
keep
Anyone
it
ever
as
tell you that? You got like a little Mincer thing going on.
oh, has anybody ever told me that? That's every comment I get.
Oh, is it?
Every oh my God, yeah. It's
Is that purposeful? Are you trying to do that or you just
no, not purposeful at all. It just slowly happened where I grew out the stash last year, and then I got the middle part with my haircut. I wasn't even expecting to go for middle part, but I grew my hair out years ago, and then I didn't know what to do with it. And eventually, I kind of concluded that I do have a part, and it just makes sense to kind of lean into it. And the stash came, and then I had my glasses, and I was like, oh, all right. Well, I guess I'm like Mike Mentzer
did
reincarnated
he
as
wear
an ad.
flannels? I feel like I've seen pictures of him in flannels too. Am I tripping? Maybe
Wait,
I'm merging
Mentzer
y'all.
or me?
I feel like I've seen him in a flannel, but maybe I'm just blending you two together now.
I don't know, but that would be funny. No, it is funny though. If I go to like the YouTube creator studio, you know how you can search comments by like a keyword.
Yeah.
Like if I type in the word Mensa right now, there'd be hundreds,
That's
maybe
funny.
1,000 comments. It's
Oh, I
unbelievable.
thought I was unique in seeing this now.
No,
Well,
it's everybody. I've gotten a couple comparisons to other people before. That it just kind of happens when you're on YouTube and everyone sees you like, oh, you kind of look like X person. But Menser is like, oh
that's a
my
good
God, ever
one.
since I got the mustache, it's like 24/7. I get a comment on it.
Well, he's very philosophical too, so you guys have that in common, man. I really appreciate it, man. You're doing really cool stuff with your channel. Yours is one of the only ones I watch. I watch yours and GVS, and sometimes I'll see Faz and stuff, but I watch your guys' stuff pretty often.
I really appreciate that. And yeah, same. I love your channel too. I think you just bringing back just instinct and how you feel is huge, but also being able to explain it.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
like,
the big thing.
yeah, you see a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, it's good to just get a mind muscle connection because it feels good or whatever. But it's like you actually have a lens to view it from and explain it from, which is just massive. And I've seen your comments too on your channel. It's good stuff.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, man. I will do this again sometime.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right,
Appreciate you having me.
peace.
See ya.